PS2 era, right? And just scrolling through, Game of the Year shocked me of what the choice is. So I want to tell you guys all the nominations that didn't get it and see if you guys can guess the game that did.
This is fun because that's what I totally meant to say.
You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that.
It's an own goal.
Yeah. This demo is so good, I quit.
Hey, everybody, this is the NerdNest podcast. I screwed it up. What's the name of the show?
NerdNest.
I think it's NerdNest.
Whatever you want.
Okay.
Still NerdNest?
Yeah. It could be, and maybe not. Who knows? You're watching a show. Who cares what it's called? It's this show. It's the show with these guys and me. I'm Bill Fairchild, your host. I am joined today by my very good friend, Carrie Gollum. How's it going, Carrie?
You know, this morning I was looking through all my shirts and I was like, we're going to be talking about PlayStation today. Let me put on my PlayStation shirt. And I like, as I was looking down, I was like, plot twist.
Plot twist is for sure. We're going to talk about that plot twist in a little bit, but not before we introduce Russ. How's it going, Russ?
I'm good. I'm a little mad at Carrie because he just stole my joke because I was going to say, hey, everybody, look, Carrie's not wearing an Xbox shirt, but all right.
And Rich, how's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Nobody has asked me to step down from my position yet, so I'm still here.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we've got some pretty huge news to talk about today. We're going to talk about Valve. We're going to talk about Microsoft. Huge shakeup there. We've got some horrible PlayStation news. Bad news bill strikes again. But before we get to the bad news, before we get to the bad stuff, let's talk about something that's like a little more neutral. And I want to start off with this post that I saw from Meta CTO Andrew Bosworth. He posted it over on Instagram. And he said, look, we learn every time that a competitor comes out with a VR headset, we look at that VR headset and we say, what can we learn from that? It's like a free experiment. And when they said that, I was like, that's the way that Microsoft is doing their ancillary hardware, not the hardware that they're making themselves, but like partnering with Asus to make the Asus Xbox ROG Ally X or whatever it's supposed to be called. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And so they're going to look at Steam Frame, and if consumers respond positively, then it's an experiment that costs them nothing, and they're going to learn something from it. And you look at things like other VR headset makers, like Apple has the Apple Apple Vision Pro. They recently introduced foveated streaming, which is something that Valve was bringing to the table. And when I look at this, the question that I have for all of you guys is, what features do you expect that Meta could learn from Valve for the next Quest? And we've been talking a lot about the price of the Steam machine, but we haven't talked about the price of the Steam Frame recently with the Rampocalypse going on. And so I'm curious what you guys think the price is going to land at. But before we get there, what features are you hoping that gets pulled from Valve's headset to other headsets? Rich, yes, Rich. I'm going to say Rich because that's what I totally meant to say.
You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that.
It's an own goal.
Yeah. Do you, by the way, do you sometimes do that but you meant to say Rich? Like, what did that happen this time? Like you double checked yourself, but that was what you wanted all along?
I'm going to be 100% honest. I literally had our show notes covering the right half of my screen. And so the only people I can see right now are Carrie and Russ. And so I looked at Russ and I said Rich. I'm not going to lie.
Well, thank you for your honesty, but I'm going to go.
Well, before you go, one more piece of information for the audience that you guys watch at home that are watching cannot see. It literally has their names on the screen next to their faces, and I still screwed it up. All right,
that's so funny.
Ahead.
It is.
Go
true.
ahead, Rich.
So like that. Partially, that statement is a bunch of nothing, right? Like every time there's a new headset, we learn from it. Of course, you do. I thought what was interesting there was a comment from Sargon Dragon. He kind of gave me like a different perspective there because he says this might be okay if VR was a mature technology, but it isn't. You can't use customer buying habits to guide the way forward because customers are not visionaries. They don't know what they want. They don't understand the technology that's being developed. And then he closes by saying the big iPhone moments in history have come when companies realize what customers are going to want before anyone else does. And I think Valve does a really good job of that, even in these small ways that they don't have necessarily like a lot of like firepower. The firepower that they do have, they know where to point it sometimes. But that said, I do think that this industry in general is very nascent still. I think not only are Meta and Apple going to learn from Valve, I think clearly Valve have learned from them as well. And I think like with foveated streaming, there are no real sacred cows. Like this is just, it's all up for grabs right now. As for like what features I expect that Meta or Apple will take from Valve next, I don't really have any real thoughts on that. I think the dongle piece that he mentioned was interesting. They tried that, but they didn't go with it. But they're going to look at that customer sentiment, and if it's popular, then sure, they'll reconsider it. I do think that dongle or the technology that Valve has built in terms of that dongle is something that's going to be very powerful for Steam Frame specifically. So maybe that is something that they consider for their next model.
Yeah, I mean, as far as other companies learning from Valve, I'm going to tell you one thing that I really want other companies to learn from Valve: capacitive thumbsticks. Or on this the new Steam controller, what do they call it? The grips.
Yeah, they call it
Grip
I don't know,
sense?
it's grip something. Yeah, grip sense. Yeah, let's do that. Grip sense. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I want them to take that stuff and get gyro in everything, even if Russ hates gyro because he's left-handed or something.
Beautiful.
Russ, what do you want them stealing?
So I want to see them really focusing on the idea that you don't have to do everything on the Quest itself. Like that's always been their real big push, is like go to our store, buy our stuff. But the Steam Frame really pushes it the other way. That dongle is a perfect example. That thing's a 6 gigahertz, right? Wi-Fi 6E connection. And right now with the Quest, you've got two options if you want to play that with the PC gaming. You've got the cable that they sell you, and I can't remember the price of it, but it's crazy. And who wants a cable anyway? Or you can use their own like Link, the app or whatever, but it sucks. And so everyone uses virtual desktop instead. And the fact that you have to buy a third-party app in order to play it properly with PC gaming is really a dig at Meta at that point. I would say that they can't even provide their own in-house solution. So I hope that's what they're watching. It's like, oh, people do want to play PC games, and we could allow that to happen. It's not great for their bottom line, I don't think. Obviously, people buying the same game like super hot, like that's available on the MetaQuest store, but it's also available on Steam, and Steam has better sales, and so I bought it there. And so that's kind of one of the things, is that they're probably going to lose out on some revenue. But man, if you just increase your user base because people are like, oh, I can do that, and then potentially make additional sales off of it, I think that's a win for them as well.
Gary, what do you want them to steal? And if you can't think of anything, then we'll switch over to price of the Steam Frame. You're muted, buddy. I muted you because there was noise coming through. I told you in chat.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so I'm going to be contrarian and say they won't take anything from Steam Frame. The foveated streaming would be one thing that they would do, or a dongle. And I don't think they'll do it because it is counter to them making money. And they are the most affordable headset. They're like the most console-like headset insofar as the value you get for the headset is exceedingly high. But that model only works if they buy software through that thing. And if the whole thing is stream elsewhere and do whatever you want, which you can do, I don't see them going that way. If anything, I think that if they were going to steal anything, the part of that may come out is the frame stuff, right? Like Steam Frame is called Steam Frame because of the windows inside of what you're looking at. Perhaps that gets stolen, like that user interface gets stolen to some degree. I don't know. I don't think that they're going to take anything specifically because their model is already, insofar as VR stuff for consumer, is already the most competitive thing that's there. So I'm not like what we know from the Steam Frame already. already just seems like a Quest 3. And not like even the cameras are just like black and white. Who knows how good depth perception is? Who knows how good anything is going to be? There's a lot of questions yet of like how good Steam Frame is actually going to be compared to the Quest 3. So I don't know. I guess it really comes down to like software side of things more than the hardware side of things, because I think that Quest team on Meta is all like, they're a huge team and they deserve a lot of credit for the stuff that they do. So I appreciate what the guy's saying, but it's like, I don't know. It's like if you have like Ferrari, but you're selling it for like Toyota prices, and you say, "I wonder what I can learn from Honda." It's like, I don't know. Sell cheaper, do better. I don't know.
Well, they're certainly not going to sell any cheaper. In fact, I wonder if they're going to get more expensive. I mean, everything gets more expensive because of the Rampocalypse, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that I keep looking at for the Steam Frame is like, how are they going to price this anywhere near competitive when the Meta Quest exists?
Yeah.
Like, how much is that? $500?
Yeah.
500 starting for the Quest 3, or the Quest 3S is
300.
350 for the lower end.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's, and I know it's supposed to be better, but I don't like, if they're selling that thing for a lot of money, it's gonna be a tough sell when you could say, well, I could get that, or I could just get this instead. You know, like, so what do we think the price of the Steam Frame is going to be now that we have all kind of adjusted our price points that we are comfortable with for the Steam machine? Rich?
How much RAM is in the Steam Frame again?
16 gigs.
Yeah.
16 gigs.
That's scary. That alone is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not tapped into the VR market at all, but it does seem like $499 is the starting price. Like it has to go up from there for Frame. There are some competing factors. Like you think about like PSVR 2 that also launched at like $550, but PSVR 2, the demand ended up being lower than I imagine Sony expected, so they lowered those prices pretty quickly.
That's also just a dumb box. Like it doesn't do anything on device.
That's true, although it does have better tech in terms of like the lens, right? Like better OLED lens, or those are OLED versus the LCD on the Steam Frame.
And foveated rendering.
And foveated rendering.
The eye tracking that's on there, yeah.
Right. And the other thing too is like, for streaming in general, it's Steam Frame's going to be great, but then like for x86 games, there's just a lot to make up for despite the ambition. So like, even though it is going to be like probably over $500, I think that for some folks, if what they want to do is play games natively, that may be a hard sell. So I don't really have a good answer on pricing, but I just imagine 500 is probably unrealistic.
I would agree with that, especially because I believe that when we were talking about that $1,200 bundle, like last year when we were talking about that, I think we all said that the Steam Frame was going to be like, I don't know, 800 or 700 of that price. I can't remember. Russ, what do you think? What are you thinking is a fair price for Steam Frame based on new RAM price nonsense?
So I'm kind of thinking about it like what I would be willing to pay for that experience, you know, so not necessarily what I think they're going to go for, you know, but what I would be willing to pay. And looking at, okay, $500 for the Quest 3, but then that's the low tier model with, I think, 128 gigs of storage. The 512 gigabyte storage one is $650. So that one's a lot more expensive. That's actually the one that I bought, and I don't think I paid $650. I think I paid $550. I can't remember. Either way, so I'm thinking about it along the lines of around $600 for the Steam Frame. Very similar, and that's their low spec model, which is 256 gigs of RAM. They do have a 1 terabyte, or not RAM, 256 gigs of storage, and they do have a 1 terabyte storage option that they at least have listed on their website. So I'm thinking 600-ish, and that still seems pretty low for the technology that we're getting and today's pricing, but I don't know. I can't see Valve releasing it for anything less than that, or anything more than that. Sorry.
Do you plan... Sorry to interrupt, but Russ, do you plan on picking one up? Like, let's say it is 600. Do you plan on picking that up?
you know, only because I have a channel and I'm like interested and I want to try it out and I want to talk about it with you guys. If it was just me, like Quest 3 is fine. You know, like I just use that on my own, like just to mess around and stuff. I've never made a video or anything with it. But it's cool. You know, it's fine. And the fact that I haven't made a video about it shows how much I really am into this whole VR thing, other than, you know, playing some Steam VR games on it.
Yep.
I also think it's kind of hard to make videos about VR stuff. Like that's something like I've seen VR stuff, VR like videos of VR content creators, and I'm like, that whole setup is way more work than I am willing to do. And so that's another thing. Carrie, when Valve announced the Steam Frame, they said it's not going to be more expensive than Valve Index. Now, Valve Index was really expensive, but since then things have changed. Do you think it's going to continue to be that lower price, or do you expect it's going to be a lot more expensive now?
No, my anticipation was still the $1,200 bundle price that we had talked about a year ago. So that's $700 for Steam Frame, $500 for Steam Machine, free Steam controller with the bundle. And I still think that that's going to be the case at the time being. There's a part of me that thinks that I don't see them waiting or just like, we'll just get it when we get it. Like there's a lot of things that you have to buy logistics wise. So there has to be some contract. There has to be some quantity that they have at some point to, like, you know, get things rolling. So I don't think that the prices are going to be changing all that much outside of that original one. If anything, maybe it goes to $1,300 so that they can offset some stuff.
The bundle.
Yeah, the bundle might go up to $1,300, so $100 extra. So figure that however you're going to be. The Steam Machine goes up $100 to $600. Steam Frame stays at $700 because it's using LPDDR5X. It's a little bit of a different segment. Maybe it doesn't get as impacted as much as other DRAM NAND. You know, so there's other things there. Maybe they lower NAND a little bit. Who knows? There's a bunch of different ways that they can navigate this. I still think it's generally going to be around the same price, but I firmly believe that it's going to be $700 area, based on what's there, like the pancake lenses, the types of displays they have, all the stuff that they got going on there, the dongle included, all things. So I still think that that's going to be the price. I don't see it being much more, because, not for nothing, because, you know, there's a lot of things that are just in flight at the moment, but also prices very, very, like people are spending more on things, but when you compare and contrast, especially where it's coming out, things are really weird timing wise.
Yeah, I think right now, I think people would be more comfortable spending more on a thing that they hook up to their TV than they would for a VR headset, which, yes, it can play games on its own, but also it's really more of an accessory than anything else. I mean, yes, you literally can run games on it without having a PC, but that's not how I think most people are going to be hooking this up to the PC so that they can have that power behind it to really push those games to get a higher fidelity. Now, the people who have PCs that can do that, they're generally going to have higher end PCs, and they're probably going to be more likely to spend that money. So I do think that it's possible for them to raise the price. I think that it's probably going to be $800 is what I think that the Steam Machine is going to be $750. I think the Steam Frame is going to be $850.
Dang.
Rutch, you were about to say something and you changed your mind. I
was going to ask if that price your Steam Machine price went up even from last week, but I don't think so. I think last week you said $750.
$750 is what I've been saying since the Rampocalypse nonsense has started. Yeah. Not originally. Like originally I said $650.
Since Valve's letter, since Valve's update on Steam Machine, I think you're right. I think you've been saying $750 since that time.
Somewhere around then, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe $850 for the Steam Frame. Now, that's not what I want it to be. You know, I want it to be cheaper because I don't want to spend that money, but that's what I think it's going to be. Leaves the question for all of you watching. First off, what do you think other companies can learn from what Valve is doing with Steam Frame? And number two, how much do you think Steam Frame is going to cost? Let us know in the comments section down below. And we're going to move on to our next topic. And our next topic is Microsoft. Microsoft just announced a huge shakeup. I did not see this coming. Microsoft just announced Phil Spencer's retirement after 38 years at Microsoft, including 12 years leading Xbox. He's going to be replaced with Asha Sharma, who's the former Instacart chief operating officer and Meta VP with no gaming industry experience. Replacing him as CEO of gaming, Microsoft Gaming, effective immediately, while Matt Booty is promoted to chief content officer, and he'll be overseeing Microsoft's 40-ish studios that they have. Sarah Bond, who I think everybody was assuming was being groomed to be Phil Spencer's replacement, she announced that she was going somewhere else. She says, I'm done here. To me, that felt like a quit because a resignation in protest of whatever's happening. Like, she doesn't, I think she expected to get that job, and then they gave that job to somebody else. And to me, that seems like she was like, well, I don't want to work. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I don't want to work for somebody else, so I'm out of here. That's what it felt like. I don't have any information behind the scenes. Some people are saying that it looks like Phil Spencer's been fired. If he's been fired, then I don't think that they give him until summer to try and do a transition. Like, if you're fired, you're usually fired. But I'm also not a corporate guy, so what the hell do I know? There's a couple of things that have been posted, and I want to point these things out. So Satya Nadella, the head guy over at Microsoft, he said, this is about Sharma, the replacement. He said, Asha has helped build and scale services that reach billions of people and support thriving customer and developer ecosystems. I thought that was interesting because services is really where Microsoft has been planting its flag. So it seems like more of the same. Phil Spencer, he said he started in as an intern, which I thought that was really cool. That's something I didn't know about him, that he started as an intern at Microsoft. Then Asha Sharma said this: gaming now lives across devices as we expand PC, mobile, and cloud. Xbox should feel seamless and reach players everywhere. That seems like she's reading from the same playbook that they've been going with this whole time. So I don't see that. Yes, it is a shakeup as to who's doing what, but it seems like they're going the same route that they have been. She also says, we will invent new business models, which I hate that sound, new ways to play. And as monetization and this is the one part of her letter that I liked. She said, as monetization and AI evolve and influence its future, we will not chase short-term efficiency or flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop. I like that she called it slop. Games are art crafted by humans with the most innovative technology. And then the last thing that I'll say before I throw to the panel and hear everything that they have to say, Matt Booty specifically said there are no organizational changes underway for our studios, meaning they don't plan to fire anybody. So I got a couple of things that I want to say before I throw to the panel. Number one, yes, this is a shakeup as to who's making decisions or whatever, and that could be a big deal. But based on what they're saying here, it seems like they're all reading from the same playbook. And it's the playbook that we've been watching for a while, which is not a playbook that most of us are very happy with. The one bright shining part in here is that Matt Booty says they're not planning on firing anybody. So my question to all of you guys, does this surprise you? And then what do you think about all of the things that they said? Carrie, I'm going to start with you, man.
When I think of Xbox, I really think about Instacart. That's the first thing that pops to my mind. So it makes no sense to me whatsoever. And like, if you look at like some of the people are like pointing out, it's like Sarah Bond just like was like talking like, hey, you should fill out this survey for Xbox stuff like 3 hours before the annountment on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it's like, did she know what was going? I feel
right.
Forgive me to Asha is her name, right? Asha Sharma.
I'm assuming that's how we pronounce it, but I'm not sure.
I mean, like, good luck to you. Hopefully what you are saying is actually what you actually believe. but I feel like there's some things that she's coming to the plate with, because she just launched her Twitter account like literally after the announcement, and everyone started following her. And she like listed 3 things that are what people want to hear. It's like it's going to be about games and whatnot. And then their next tweet was, "How about we bring Xbox Blades back?" And I feel like she's just like hitting all these things of like, you need to say these things so that people will be receptive to this whole thing. So no AI slop. Like these are all things that we all want to hear. These are all like the Pavlovian responses of like, oh, good. She's saying, she's saying the thing. But to your point, Bill, what are they changing? What's different? What does she have? Effectively for the next 2 years, this is still the Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond show. Like we have all of 2026 riding out, which is already like going. So this is a banner year for Xbox in terms of game output. That's going to be for 2026. They have Fable, for Forza Horizon. They have their big marquee titles landing in this year. They have a big year. And then next year, AMD has already outed them. They're like, oh, Xbox's next thing is next year. So that's in flight. Like AMD already spilled the beans, hardware's in flight. And that thing, based on what we, all the rumors that we've saw, it's a gigantic monster. So this thing is going to land where it's a console/hybrid, where that's attractive. And it is like all of this stuff, like Phil Spencer and team have been just taking it on the chin nonstop. And literally when they're about to like, oh, finally, we climbed the mountain. And Satya's like, poof. Come on over, Asha. This
from
is
the
yours.
AI department.
Yeah, it's like I don't. It just seems completely out of place to me. I don't like all of this time to get here, and just to kick him out is and maybe they didn't get kicked out, right? Maybe they didn't get kicked out. They didn't mention Sarah Bond at all for valid reasons. I don't know, but this does not seem on face value alone that this worked out. And in some respects, like Asha is just like, quick, put someone in front of the camera, say the words, Asha. But again, apologies if that's cruel or mean, but it's, I don't really have anything negative to say against her, but I just don't feel like this particular role suits her in any way. Maybe I'll be proven completely wrong. Maybe she's just going to, like take all the stuff that's going to be great and actually deliver on all the things that she said, which would be amazing.
Can I ask you a question, Carrie? Do you think that somebody who's in charge of I'm not even going to say video game studio, but like a video game focused technology company needs to have a pedigree in video games?
Well, I mean, if you take a look at Jim Ryan and Herman Hulst, I don't know, how do PlayStation people feel about those guys? Like, we're going to be talking about that in a moment.
yeah, we'll talk about them soon. Bad news, Bill strikes again.
But I think there's an objective answer to that, like, which is it helps, but it's not the only factor. So, like, Yamauchi was an Epic executive, right? Not to say that he did great things like objectively, but he made Nintendo a lot of money. During his time being the CEO of Nintendo, Nintendo made tons and tons of money in probably their golden ages, and he didn't give a crap about video games, So like it helps, right? Like Take Two, Strauss Zelnick is not a video game guy, and Take Two is making. I don't like the decisions Take Two is making, but Take Two is making lots of money, and so like.
But do we care that they make money?
But they care that they make money. That's the point.
I know, but all the things that
but the Nintendo example is not just an example where they made money. Sure. It's an example. They did make very poor consumer decisions, but it was also their golden ages.
I will 100% agree with you that Nintendo was in that. Like absolutely 100%. So yes, objectively, you can have someone that has no pedigree whatsoever with gaming, but I don't think that you can come to the table and have know where you need to plant your feet, where you need to take stakes in stuff, to understand the importance of what you're saying unless someone else is kind of like, telling you, giving you the importance, giving you the topics.
That's the key, right? Is that someone else? Like, do you put the right people in the right places? And Yamauchi knew Gunpei Yokoi, Miyamoto, right? Like he knew the people to put in the right places. That's the question you're asking here.
You look at Miyamoto, right? Like Miyamoto, he didn't want to be I don't think he wanted to be a video game designer like as his first thing, but he intuitively he is one of the best game designers of all time. Like he obviously, so he didn't, but there was no video game pedigree or whatever. There was it was like a free flowing type of thing at that time. So yes, I'm 100% objectively, yes, they don't have to have it, but I feel like in this particular place and time, this is a completely weird choice that sprung. I don't know. I need a stew from this.
To be clear, I think all your points so far have been salient, and this is all fresh and very raw, right? So like all of our takes are just literally hours after. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Russ,
will say,
I know that you wanted to say something, but I'm going to ask you something real quick.
Okay.
Are you about to tell us about that Admiral? Because if you are, I want to hear it.
I wasn't, but I can. Yeah. So
I think it's a good point.
So number one, like you guys got me thinking, first of all, like I think among the four of us, I'm probably the least knowledgeable about who was what, when, like in the gaming industry. Like I just never really followed that until really joining this podcast. But the thing that came to my mind was like, okay, who's somebody that like led a studio that like I respected? And I was like, I like what they have to say. And like they felt like they represented us, right? And I just go to Reggie, right, for Nintendo America. And I always felt like he always like had our backs, and he wasn't the guy in charge of everything, right? But he was Nintendo of America president. And it just felt like he was kind of pushing the ways that he could, right? So while you guys were talking, I'm like, well, what is his background? And so he worked senior director of national marketing at Pizza Hut. Then he went on to work for Guinness, then Panda Express, then VH1, and then finally Nintendo. And then he went in for sales and marketing, and then eventually moved up. And I think that all kind of fits in kind of what I expect from Reggie too, or what I expected from him. Somebody who could sell you something, somebody who appealed to the entertainment side. Food, I would consider to be part of that as well. And that all kind of makes sense to me. But when we look at like Asha's background, as working at Instacart, then Meta, and then the AI platform for the past 2 years in Microsoft, and now moving over, I don't have the same kind of feeling like, oh, they are in tune to delivering games in a way that gamers are wanting, right? Or to predict gaming trends. So, yes, Bill, you have
Can I just jump in real quick?
Yeah.
You're right. That's not, but she's good at services.
Right.
That's why they got her. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that shows their direction and potentially what Microsoft's going for. And so the thing that Bill mentioned about the Admiral, we were talking in chat earlier. So I worked, when I was in the Navy and during my later years, I was a Master Chief, and I would work in some high level positions. And I was there for the transition of one Admiral to another within the Intel world. So basically the head of Navy's Intel moving over, shifting focus to another admiral. So I was there for the change of command. And it is remarkable how much an executive has weight in that kind of world. And I'm not saying it's the same in Microsoft, but this person is not at the top of the rung, but pretty close, right? So they've got somebody to answer to. Everyone does. But the way they had visions and plans, and they were executed almost immediately. Like the whole staff was like, all right, we're going in this direction now, and just pivot and move. And I kind of thought the same thing about Microsoft, because I think it was Bill, you mentioned, you're like, oh, well, it's an executive. What are they going to be able to change, right? And like my thing was like, well, actually, he can change entire cultures, which is what I've seen. It's complete 180s, between different leadership positions. So I do think that this has got a lot of weight to it, and it really is going to push the direction of Microsoft and Xbox gaming in particular in the future. And so, yeah, I'm really interested to see how this goes. And it's kind of the first time I've been here for it, like watching it happen in real time. So I'm kind of excited to see where it goes.
So I have a question before I go for everybody. It sounds like we don't really like have confidence as to where this will go, but it also sounds like we kind of agree that there will be a big impact, positive or negative. There will be a big impact. Does anyone like disagree with that?
I disagree with that.
You disagree with that. All right. Tell me
I
about
disagree with it, and here's the reason why. And it kind of goes to what I said, what Russ just mentioned, is where I said, well, it's just some other corpo, person. Who cares what they're like? Yes, they can have an impact, but I don't think they're the boss. I don't think Phil was the boss. I don't think this person's the boss. If Sarah Bond got Phil Spencer's position, I don't think she would have been the boss. I think the boss is Satya Nadella, and he's still the one who's in charge of it all. So it's just going to keep going the way it's already been going. That's what I think is going to happen. Maybe I'm completely wrong about this. Maybe all of these decisions that have pissed everybody off for months and months and months have come directly from Phil Spencer. But I doubt it.
So I would say that a good leader, and we're just assuming that the CEO of Microsoft is a good leader, he would just trust the experts to do the experting, right? That he would say, okay, you are my subject matter experts for gaming, so do your thing, and you've got my trust for it. But there's going to be some parameters. Obviously, you can't nuke the place, but do what you need to do, and I trust that. And I'm hoping that that's kind of where they're going. So yes, limited power, but I think that within that realm, they've got their sandbox. And I think that as long as they deliver on the deliverables, I would say that Microsoft is hopefully smart enough to let the experts do the experting.
And I think if that were the case, then it wouldn't be somebody coming from AI running Xbox Gaming now. It would have been somebody from Xbox Gaming that would have been promoted when Phil retires. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get that, right? Because just based on what we know, I wouldn't say she's an expert in gaming. And so that's absolutely something to consider.
The sigh known
There's
to
so
the
many
world.
things that we have to Instacart, Home Depot, something with Microsoft AI.
Home Depot board member, so not like an executive, but still a board member. And then
what does that even mean? That's like some C-suite thing. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
you're the day trader. You tell us.
To me, it just seems like another land of make believe that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying I know anything. I'm just saying that the CEO, the Microsoft part that she joined was for AI, right? What was it? Like leader of AI?
I think she's
AI.
in charge of, she's in charge of Copilot, I think.
Core AI comes over to CEO.
No,
the CEO of Xbox.
don't do that. No, let's not do that. Core AI is not Copilot. Core AI is
it's not? Okay.
No.
No,
it's like Azure and like their partnership with OpenAI, for example, right? So like, which is making Microsoft a crap ton of money right now.
Gotcha. Okay. I was wrong about that.
I hope that from her tenure of however long she was with the Core AI group to managing that, she was like, boy, I really hate AI slop. So when she says no AI slop, she actually means it. But I find that to be a bit incongruous with where that's from, especially at this time right now. Anyway, that's last. Rich, I'm gonna let you speak.
Yeah. And I think all your points are salient. So Core AI says spanning AI, Azure AI Foundry, GitHub VS Code. But this is like more than just like the AI you see in Windows or Bing, right? Like this is every enterprise corporation that is like working on their own AI. Many of them are leveraging Microsoft's version of OpenAI. Because like I said, Microsoft and OpenAI have a collaboration. And I think all of that comes with Core AI, which is, by the way, I think it's like 2 years there. So I don't even think she had that much time at Core AI. But yeah, so the reason like the admiral came up was because we were talking about like the importance of good executives and like how much that is under discussed in gaming. I think if you read like Iwata Asks, the book, or even just the interviews that are on the internet still, like you'd be hard pressed to read those pieces and think it's a coincidence that Nintendo had some of its best years during his tenure, right? So like it's just it screams as one of the most important things, like Russ was saying, is just to have a good executive that has a culture that's going to trickle down. Whether Asha has that background, I have no idea. Yes, her background on paper does not look like it fits. Like we said, Home Depot board member, Instacart COO, Meta VP product and engineering, and then most recently president of Core AI at Microsoft. I think that's more than a bit troubling when it comes to like where we look at her, where Microsoft is going, especially right now at such a pivotal time. And not to mention losing Phil, at least the way a lot of people have seen Phil specifically, it's a big loss, right? Like,
Yeah.
coming from Don Matrick to Phil, like that was a huge step up. And so, although, yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Isn't Don Matrick was famously not a gamer either, so that's another point for having gamers in charge, because he was in charge of the Xbox One era, right?
He was a gamer or was not? I have no idea.
Was not a gamer.
Okay, so yeah, fair.
Let me look it up while you're talking.
Yeah, and so like her letter is interesting because you notice the criticism that everyone gives, which is the same as Carrie's criticism, which is like, it's too perfect, right? Like she said all the right things, and maybe it's too on the nose. So it wasn't just the three priorities being games, recommitment to Xbox, and something about studios. I actually don't remember what the third priority was. Does
it was like
anyone
change
remember?
the way we play or something like that.
Changed, yeah, like future of gaming, right?
Yeah.
And so
Future of play,
it wasn't
that's what it is.
future of play. Thank you. So it wasn't just a priority; it was the order of priorities that was correct too, right? Like it's like games come first. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
I stand corrected. Don Matrick was actually a game developer, so maybe I read something wrong.
Look at that. I think it has less bearing than we think on whether or not an executive is successful in gaming. I think it can help, but it's not the only thing it can help. But that's all.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no worries. So, yeah, I think the order of priorities was right too, right? Like games come first, no matter what. Games come first, and gamers, myself included, when I hear that sounds amazing. Let's do that. To be fair to her, she also put her mouth. What am I trying to say?
Money?
Put her money where her mouth is on that one, right? Because the very first big move that she made was promote Matt Booty. That's pretty much the only thing we have to go off so far. So like whether or not that was a good move depends on how you feel about Matt Booty and has he done a good job since running studios in 2018. But it's clear that she's like, hey, I think you did a good job. So you keep doing this, right? You're promoting, you have an even bigger responsibility. But either way, my feeling on this is that it's clear to me that Microsoft needed a huge shakeup. Phil Spencer was cool, and that's the way I'm going to frame him. He was cool. I don't know whether or not he was a good executive, but he was cool. But when you think about him at Microsoft, he started in 1988. You know who started at Microsoft in 1983? Gabe Newell. And look at what Gabe Newell has done since 1983. I don't think Phil Spencer is 5 years away from being Gabe Newell. And I that's important because of not just how Phil Spencer started then, or even started whatever it was, 2018, 2015, but just the last 5 years of Xbox. This last year has been pretty good, like in terms of games only, but these last 5 years haven't been great. And that could be because of Satya Nadella, but Phil to me hasn't proven himself otherwise. Like he's a cool guy, seems to have pretty good thoughts, but he hasn't proven to me that like he can lead Xbox, which is like probably the biggest gaming identity left right now. And do I think Asha can? I'm not saying that, but I do think they needed a big change. And so in that way, I'm grateful they made the big change. They swung big, maybe, but yeah, I'm not confident necessarily in Asha.
So I am walking myself back a little bit since you said that, because my biggest fear in this in the back of my head is like, is this a Jade Raymond? Is this Phil Harrison? Is this someone that just fails upward in life? Like they just go along and just like, hey, I'm the CEO of Instacart. Here's what I'm doing. Oh, it's a big destructive mess. Let me just go over to my board of Home Depot and just like keep on failing upward in their life. And now she's CEO of Expo. I don't know. I haven't investigated anything, but that is a worry that I have in the back of my head. I have no
worry.
idea.
Yeah, legitimate worry.
But it could be like you said, like she might just be all business and she's like, okay, tell me what they like. I'm going to say these things and these are the things I'm going to do. And I'm going to be hardcore about them. The thing that I would, knowing that Phil Spencer was there for so long, I very much value, I'm like old. So I am still of the old mindset where, you know, you want to be like the company man. You want to like, okay, if I'm loyal to the company will be loyal to me.
It's 2026, baby.
No, I know it doesn't work like that anymore. But it was nice to see Phil Spencer do that, right? Like start as, you know, you want to see that story of the person starting off as the mail delivery person and then make their way all the way up because they believe in the company, they believe in the stuff, and they do the stuff. And I feel like when Phil Spencer got there, he had a long leash to do what he wanted to do. And as things weren't going his way, that leash got tighter and tighter to the point that he could only make like a bet. And once he made that bet, he wasn't allowed to do anything else. And that was kind of where it was. I don't have any proof of this. It's only speculation on my part. And that's more of just kind of discounting, almost excusing what has transpired. We're only now seeing all of the studio purchases, all of that stuff start to pay dividends. And it took a decade for that to happen. So that's where I'm just like, geez, that sucks.
Shit moves slow.
On the note of that leash, I did want to get back to the Satya thing. Like clearly Satya's in charge, right? Like there's no question about that. But also Satya doesn't buy Activision Blizzard King on his own. You know what I mean? Like that's not a decision that like Satya came up with and is like, that's brilliant. I'm going to do that. Like clearly that was Phil Spencer and or Phil Spencer's people, right? Like that. And so, and for Phil Spencer to have that leash to be able to spend, remind me guys, 80 billion?
Almost. It was
effectively $80 billion.
Yeah, 70 billion, I thought.
Yeah, 69 billion, and then it went to it. But after like everything kind of shook out, it was like 75 billion.
Oh,
and 9
right.
billion if you count Bethesda.
That's fine.
So it's like 84 billion.
Okay, so for Phil, yeah, Bethesda is a good point too, right? Like for Phil to convince Satya to spend $80+ billion, like Phil, like let's not take away that Phil had power, Phil had clout. He was able to pull some strings up there.
So the only thing I want to mention real quick is that I did read up or at least hear something about that there's two things to keep in mind. Number one is when they bought ZeniMax, money was cheap. And when I say money is cheap, I mean interest rates were next to nothing. So Microsoft had a bunch of cash and it was worth less to them to hold on to that cash than to invest and acquire things. Like that would bring more money, even if it wasn't that good of an investment. That would be a better use of the money. But now that interest rates went to 7%, a lot of acquisitions have stopped across the board everywhere. So that's one thing. The second thing was that after they bought Bethesda, ZeniMax, one of the board members that did that specifically said, "Who's next?" So they already were like, Phil, who are we getting? So it wasn't like Phil, like, oh, I think we should go for ABK. They were like, this is awesome. Let's get
Fair
something.
point.
And I think Phil was like, oh, I'm gonna go for the gusto. I'm gonna go for the big daddy. And he's like, it's gonna be 70 billion. And they're like, let's roll. And he's like, I can't believe they did that. I'm gonna be fired in 6 years.
It's a wrap for me.
So I kind of have I know this is Bill's job, but I have a question for you guys just because I'm curious. So I don't really like the idea of kind of speculating what to expect from this person, just because I don't think we have a lot of data. But what would you like for them to do? Like, what do you want somebody in that position to do in terms of decisions for Microsoft leading Xbox forward in, say, the next couple of years? Like, I don't know. I don't have an answer myself, but I'd love to hear your guys' takes.
I want them to make Game Pass more affordable. I want them to Boy, with no time to think. Boy, you know what? When I do this to you guys, it's really a lot easier on me because I ask the question and then I get time to think about it. I want them to stop raising prices, stop firing people who put out good games, and I do want them to continue what they have been doing when it comes to putting your games on everything, because I like it when games are on everything. I need more time to think about it.
I think those are good ones. I'm going to say number one, it's probably going to be a lot of what her letter said, even if it wasn't genuine or sincere. Number one is the games, right? Like, just first of all, just focus on making good games, working with the studios. Like, I've heard that Matt Booty has a reputation, a good reputation with other developers of like having a developer first culture. So like taking like good inventory of what your employees are saying, it makes a good game, and listening to that. So doing that's number one to me. Number two, I don't know what, I don't really get the strategy they're heading towards completely, but if they're going to do it, don't half-ass it, right? So like what I mean is with the hardware, really improve the PC APIs that have been just floundering for years. So like really hone in on how much better can we make these PC APIs? How much better can we make the storefront such that like Valve gets a little bit scared, right? Like, let's make a good storefront with good APIs that developers can use. Let's give them good features, and just focus on consolidating all of those efforts rather than what you've had so far, which is Xbox is doing all of this and PC is doing all of that. So those are two things I would pick.
So for me, again, I think if we look at this through the lens of Satya just put a new leash on someone, but now the leash is like super long. So she should just be like, cool, I'm going to just go ham across the board. And Russ, you had mentioned it before, and I was like, that puts it so well when we talked about Avowed. It's like, this like one of the best 6-10 games I ever played ever. And, you start with like this, it's the best mediocre thing, right? Like, or slightly above average thing. And I really feel like that's the case for Avowed. And I would say you have all of this IP now. I've talked about this before. I would like there to be a Space Quest game. I would like there to be a King's Quest game. May cost you $1 million or two. Just go nuts. Go ham. Spend like, here's $2 million, adventure game developers. This is more money that you've ever had ever. Make a cool Space Quest game. Make a cool King's Quest game. We have all this IP. Let's start going nuts. And it's about games, right? So prove it. Like, go nuts with the leash that you have and just show us the meaning of gaming.
Make a new Banjo-Kazooie kart racer. I will buy it.
Exactly. Yeah. Just go nuts.
So I would add, the Phil Spector thing, Phil Spencer thing really hits me when we talk about, like, we talked about it in the beginning of like our podcast, was like he was getting his hands on handhelds. I think it was the original Ally at the time. And he was like, this is a bad experience. Like, it's a bad user experience. Like, I don't like that, I'm having to try and navigate this on such a small screen. I'm going to do something about it. And what we got was this full screen experience, which to me is very half-assed. It feels very much so like a stack. So it's like Microsoft in general has this problem where they just keep stacking on new things on top of the old stuff, right? I mean, like Notepad's going to have pictures soon is what I heard. Like it's just crazy. And so what I would want to see is a revolution where they're like, what would we do if we were starting a brand right now? Instead of trying to make things fit within the existing paradigm that is the behemoth of Microsoft and Xbox, what could we do that would revolutionize things? Those are the questions I would like for them to be asking. And what comes out of that, who knows, But I think it'll be a games first kind of trajectory, dev first, all those things that we've already been talking about. But I do think that it's going to require something more revolutionary than just stacking on something new on the platform that we have already.
I love that. Do we all agree also Blades? Bring back Blades?
Yeah, everything she's saying has to happen now, right? Like, whatever you said, that's it. This is now table stakes.
Right.
Like, this is like, we're starting here. You have just made the foundation. If you do not deliver on this, I will judge you on everything, the first 3 words you've said.
Yes.
Well, let us know what you guys, what do you want I forgot. Asha Shamra. What do you want her to do? Sharma. Somebody please pronounce it right for me so that I can stop sounding like an idiot.
Asha Sharma.
Asha Sharma. All right.
That's how I'd say it.
What do you guys want Asha Sharma to do with Xbox? How do you feel about what Matt Booty's going to be doing with his 40 plus studios that he's now in charge of? And who do you want to play Phil Spencer in the movie? Let us know in the comments down below. And Russ just raised his hand with a finger. What's up, man?
One last point, and I already mentioned in the chat.
Hold on. Just for the audio listeners, he wasn't raising his hand with that finger. Sorry. Go ahead.
I understood.
Right. Yeah, we have a little tool in this thing. Anyway, so I mentioned this in the chat already, but they showed a picture of Asha and Matt Booty together, right? And they're sitting there and they're just kind of smiling at the camera, photo op, whatever. They are sitting in front of a row of computers that are playing Master Chief Collection, which came out in 2014. So the fact that they are taking a game that's 12 years old and using that to represent themselves in this new vision and whatever, I think it says a lot. And to be honest, I would consider that maybe to be the last must-have Xbox title, to be honest, for me.
Wow.
That's the one where I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the Xbox exclusive must-have. That's kind of that era that I think is still kind of amazing. I can't think of any other games since then that have been...
She's going to make every game exclusive to Xbox. No more PC. It's just Xbox.
Right.
And that's it. So Activision, Xbox only. Bethesda, Xbox only. The FCC were like, I knew it.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. But we're going to move on to our next topic. And that next topic is further down in the show notes. I got to bring it up higher. That's going to be Sony. Carrie, you got the right shirt on for this segment for sure. Sony shut down Blue Point Games. Here's a quick summary. Sony is closing out Blue Point Games in March 2026, laying off approximately 70 employees just 5 years after acquiring the acclaimed Austin-based studio in 2021, following what Sony CEO Herman Hulst called a recent business review amid an increasingly challenging industry environment. Okay, so number one, when this, so I saw somebody had went and found Herman Hulst's tweet where he was like, nobody saw this coming, and he was when they acquired Blue Point Games. He didn't tweet that out today, but sure feels like when I saw this, I was like, what the hell, man? How many companies do you have to buy, forced to make a live service game, and then when it doesn't come out to be the way what they want, fire them? How often does that have to happen before somebody stops you from buying companies? Because clearly you're buying companies for the wrong friggin' reasons. Rich, what do you think about Blue Point Games getting shut down and firing those 70 of what Herman Hulst said are very talented people?
Yeah. No, it sucks. It sucks. And 70 people is not a lot for a studio.
No, but still.
Yeah. No. I say that to say it's surprising, right? So obviously they were working on that God of War live service game, and that apparently got canceled early 2025. So from the report so far, it seems like they spent the years since then pitching other games, meaning they never entered production for anything else. So they spent about a year and didn't enter production into anything else. But even just when you think about the burn cost for 70 employees for that year, couldn't have been very high relative to what PlayStation kind of typically spends. And so it's very surprising that they made this choice, especially given that they were just acquired 5 years ago,
2021.
Yeah. So it's surprising. It's disappointing. I think that it seems like the through line is this Jim Ryan to Herman Hulst transition, where there have been a number of studios that have closed since that happened, a number of layoffs as well, and a number of game cancellations, especially the live service ones. And so it seems like what Sony is trying to do is trying to kind of consolidate their palette of games that are coming out, that are in development, And then what that means is that there's a lot of collateral, like human collateral, and that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it seems like maybe Jim Ryan was like, let's go live service. And now Herman Hulst is like, let's not do live service. But Blue Point was never a live service studio until PlayStation made them a live service studio.
Yeah, and I should say too, even with that, Herman Hulst has been here the whole time. Yeah. So like he is also responsible for that live service push, but it seems like Jim Ryan might have been the one that was really pushing it at the time, and like now they're changing some direction.
Gary, are you going to do like the thing with your shirt and rip it in half?
You guys have nothing to worry about. Herman Hulst, like it looks, if you just look at it, looks like Sony is just like looking at the Microsoft playbook and just be like, yeah, let's do that. What did they make Arcane do? They made them make a multiplayer game that they didn't want to do and it sucked.
Right.
Let's get rid of that company. Let's do that to Blue Point. And it's like, okay, that's a great idea. But the good news is that Herman Hulst will be replaced by the COO of Uber Eats. So everything will work out. Don't worry about it, guys. It's just all right. It's really just, I look at all of this stuff that's happening. And one thing that I didn't know, I had looked it up just recently because someone like pointed out like how many acquisitions they had and how many studio closures they had. And the list is pretty large, but I only went down to 2015. And if you include things that are not studios, I didn't know that Sony sold their stake in Evo. I always thought Evo was like a smart thing for them to do because the fighting game community very much did align with PlayStation.
Yeah.
So like fighting game community and all that other stuff, I was like, okay, that was a smart thing to do. And they're out of it now, it seems like. I don't think that they actually own Evo anymore. So you look at all the acquisitions that they did. Do you want to do that right now, Bill? Do you want to like do the number of like guessing of acquisitions?
I forgot the question you asked and I said, don't answer that. Damn it. That's content, baby.
All right, I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to let you guys guess. It's how many acquisitions, just do studios, how many acquisitions has Sony made since 2015 and how many studio closures shut down to have happened in that same period of time?
All right, so let's do that as two different questions. I'm going to have Rich.
It is two different questions because it's not like it's not like they got Blue Point and shut down Blue Point. It could be that they got something and then shut down something, right? But just 1-to-1. So yeah.
Okay. So Rich, I'm going to have you go first because you're the one that I feel like is the most plugged in to
I looked it up, so don't let me go first.
Oh, okay.
Can you repeat the question? Just so I know, I'm clear.
How many studios has Sony bought in the last? In the last 5 years?
Since 2015.
Oh, in the last 10 years.
And how many have they shut down since 2015?
Okay, I don't know how many they've acquired. Let's go with 15. 15?
Okay. Russ, do you think it's higher or lower than 15?
Lower. I was thinking 12.
I'm going to go higher.
Okay. And how many do you think have been closed since 2015?
You already know that, right, Rich?
I have a number. I don't know if it's the same number as Carrie, but I did look it up.
Okay. Well, then I'll just do Russ. Tell me how many and I'll go higher or lower.
I'm thinking 8.
I think it's... Oh, that's a really good number. I'm going to say lower. What's that game that I used to watch on TV with the cards? The giant playing cards, and they would... Oh my God, it was such a good show.
Card Sharks. Black and white? Oh.
No, it was not. I'm not that freaking old. Jesus, Russ.
So, since 2015, there have been 10 game studio acquisitions.
Okay.
And technically a bit more because one of them actually bought another company from that company. So like a
Russian doll?
Fireworks Studios bought another company and it kind of like got absorbed into Firewalk or something. So it's Insomniac, which has been holding up PlayStation. Mm-hmm. They got them in 2019. There's Housemarque, which now is doing Soros. Nixxes, which has been doing a bunch, but they have seemingly not been doing any PC ports as of late. Fire Sprite is the one I believe that acquired another studio, so it could be 11 if you really count it, but I'm going to say 10. There's Blue Point, Valkyrie, Bungie, Haven, Savage Game Studios, Firewalk Studios. Those are the since 2015, and the closures.
Firewalk is gone.
Have been 8.
8.
Exactly.
You nailed it,
exactly
Russ.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's Evolution Studios, Sony Manchester. There is technically one, but I'm not going to have it in there. Japan Studio, Pixel Opus, London Studio, Firewalk Studios, Neon Koi, and then Blue Point Games.
Evolution Studios is not Evo, right? Like you're not.
No.
Okay. Yeah. I'm following. I'm following.
Yeah, it's the got rid of is sold SCI stake in Evo in August. Evolution Studios closed in 2016. Sony got rid of their stake in Evo in 2015 of August, 2025 of August. So not too long ago.
No, not too long ago.
Yeah. So that I was not really aware of how many they bought or how many they closed, and it seemed like a way higher number than I feel like Microsoft has more in my head, like way more in my head.
I think they do.
But I don't. Yeah, I haven't. Looked
This
it up.
is why I did the research beforehand.
40 studios. They have 40 studios.
So I have no idea how many any of these acquired since 2015. I only know the shutdowns because that was the question that I remember from chat. EA has shut down 3 studios since 2015. Only 3. That is insane.
Hear that, everybody who thinks EA is the worst?
Yeah, Reddit.
Activision Blizzard King before the merger shut down 3 to 4 studios since 2015. I tried my best. Like these are hard numbers to really get. So if there's someone that fact checks me, feel free. Take-Two 4 to 5 since 2015. Ubisoft same 4 to 5. Sony I have 7, so I was missing one for Sony. Microsoft 9 to 10, so a little more than Sony, not a lot. Embracer apparently 44. Embracer,
Yeah, because they bought so much.
yeah.
Dude, what was the one? Oh, it was from the 4 of us should have bought it. I couldn't believe my eyes. Like it was this was Square Enix. They were like, Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, these kind of suck.
Right.
Let's just give these away.
You wanted
and
us to buy it?
bought them. Dude, Embracer bought all of it for $200 million.
Larry,
and then the next week,
Larry, I'm on DuckTales.
Oh yeah, but it doesn't matter. They bought it, and then the next week they bought all of it for like $200 million, and then the next week sold just Tomb Raider to Amazon for $600 million.
Yeah,
we would own Deus Ex and have $400 million. Like it didn't. I was like $200 million.
We just need a consortium.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the number. I'm like, I could have done that. I could have bought that. I could have bought that on terms. Like, pretty sure I could have made that deal happen. So Embracer, I know, was ginormous. And now it's the splintered group of nonsense. I bought some of the stock, nothing. Like I bought like $200 worth of the stock of Embracer Group, and then they splintered into like 3 things. Asmo Media, which is like a board games thing. And like 2 other ones, but they did this dirty thing where all of the debt was like hoisted on one of these companies.
Oh yeah, they do that all the time.
Yeah, they're like, oh, so sorry, you have $40 trillion worth of debt, and they're like, oh, well, we're bankrupt. What are you gonna do?
That's what WB's doing right now with their thing, because they want to split the company into 2. Sell off one part of it with none of the debt to Netflix, and then the other part gets all of the debt and has the TV channels and stuff.
Yeah, it's a funny. I don't see how this works, and like I can see how it shouldn't be legal. I feel like just on face value, something sounds very wrong. I think if you just like say it out loud, you're like, that sounds wrong. That should be all you need to know that it's like, all right, you can't do that. And I don't know, right? I have not done this deal, or like saying, hey, no, that actually makes sense. Maybe it does. I just don't like it. It just doesn't sound right.
Well, quick announcement for everybody who's watching. We're starting a studio. It's called NerdNest Studios, and we're going to buy up all these companies that keep getting fired, and we'll have them put out games, and we'll be rich. We just got to get a little capital first. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, Patreon.
You're right.
So the thing that bothers me most about this whole Blue Point thing is I feel like this is a company that was in the best position to give the things that a lot of PlayStation players want. This would have been Bloodborne. You know, they could have they like just looking at the games they had developed, right? God of War Collection on PS3, Ico and Shadow of the Colossus Collection, and then also Shadow of the Colossus for PS4, Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection, Gravity Rush Remastered, Shadow of the Colossus, like I mentioned, and then Demon Souls for PS5. Like that's kind of what we want, right? Like I want to see more collections. I want to see like updated graphics for some of the things. I don't need the development studios to be I don't need Naughty Dog to make a new Jack and Daxter collection. They should be working on the new stuff, but somebody else could do it. And I feel like Blue Point would have been in a great position to do that. And that's what kind of hurts for me is like, man, this is a wasted opportunity just to deliver on some of the things that we've been asking for.
Yeah, Bloodborne never happening now. Like Sony basically fired their porthouse.
Bloodborne. Apparently, Demon Souls remake was. I have the stat here.
Oh, that's the one I was thinking of. I don't know. They're all the same to me.
No, you got it right. I was just. This is just a
nailed
reference.
it first try.
Yeah. So Demon Souls PS3 came out in 2009, but the remake came out in 2020, and Bloodborne came out in 2015, and now it's 11 years later, and we have no remake. So, yeah.
And they got rid of their porthouse. So
yeah.
It's never going to happen. You're never going to get Bloodborne. Did I get it right again?
Nix's.
You got it right.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
You have Nixus, yeah.
Nix's, please port Bloodborne for us. I don't even need a remake or whatever. Just
what
give me
other
a port
studios are going to
PC.
get canned by Sony?
So you have to be worried for Nix's at this point for sure.
Carrie, can you post the list in our Discord just so I can have a visual so I can see it while we're talking about this? What were you saying about Nix's is worried?
I feel like, yeah, you have to be worried for them right now because they are primarily a PC port house up to this point. And what's the last PC port they did, right? It probably, whatever it was, it probably released about a year ago. So I hope they're working on something. I hope they're working on Bloodborne, but I don't know what they're working on. And you know, Sony has clearly slowed down with the PC ports.
Yeah, they did Last of Us Part 1, and they'll be working on Death Stranding 2.
I didn't know they were working on Death Stranding 2. That's great.
Iron Galaxy. That's the other porting studio that Sony uses, but I don't think that they own Iron Galaxy.
I don't think so.
They just contract them out to do some ports every now and again.
Maybe that's the other thing is they decided we don't have to own this company if we can also just contract to somebody else. The thing about me, instead of just firing everybody, just freaking sell the company. Sell it to somebody else. You get a bunch of cash and those people get to keep their freaking jobs.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they tried. Who knows? Anyway, bad news bill strikes again. Moving on, everybody. Well, tell us what you guys think about Sony killing Blue Point Games. And we're going to move on to this next story, which I don't know if how do I want to say this? I don't know if I am reading the tea leaves with hopium here, with Lego Batman Legacy. This is the new Lego Batman that looks freaking awesome. They reduced their PC specs. Used to be 32 gigs of RAM were required for the Lego the Batman game, which is bananas. They reduced that down to 16. Now, they say that this is after ongoing optimization testing. It is an Unreal Engine 5 game. I think that Unreal Engine 5 gets a lot of... what's the word I'm looking for? It gets a lot of crap thrown at it, but I've been playing Arc Raiders a lot, and that's Unreal Engine 5, and it is optimized to the, to the teeth. It runs like a dream on my system, and it runs pretty well on my son's system too. So I don't think that that's, here nor there. But they reduced their requirements from 32 gigs of RAM to 16 gigs of RAM. And I've seen a lot of people saying that this is in response to the AI shortage. Is this in response to the AI shortage, or do you think that this is just part of their normal process and I'm, huffing hopium? What do you guys think? Carrie?
I think to some degree that a lot of the, TT Games has been doing Lego games for a long time now.
Very.
And they go back to 360 and PS3. So I think that they have a very good idea of how to target whatever they're looking to. I don't know it could be that the Rampocalypse is like some part of there on there. Could also be that PC gaming handhelds have started to gain traction. So being able to target a device like that helps them a bunch. It is also, I just actually looked at it now. Typically, I'm not like, I'll play a Lego game and just kind of like whatever. This one actually looks pretty cool. It's kind of like Lego. Yeah, it looks like Batman Arkham Knight, but Lego.
Yes, that's why I'm hyped for it.
Yeah, it looks super cool. It does look great, like fidelity wise. It looks really nice, like one of the nicest Lego games there is. But I still think that TT Games has the know how to optimize for specific targets. Is it because of AI Rampocalypse specifically? Partially, maybe. For me, I don't think it's like 100%. It could just be a bit, but also I would argue that their customer base is going to be younger audiences, and younger audiences are going to have not the most expensive gear to play games on. So by just inertia, they have to design games that are that don't require as much.
In a way, the more surprising thing is that the specs were 32.
32 gigs,
right?
yeah.
Like, why did they require 32 gigs?
Yeah, it's probably just a typo. It's a whoopsie doodle. I was just looking at something else, guys. I'm so sorry.
I will say, I understand why you would think that that people would skew younger for this, but the first Lego Batman game came out in 2008. And this is going to be almost 20 years later. There's a lot of people who have nostalgia for the Lego games, I think.
Oh, yeah. They've made a bunch of Lego games. I think that they're sellers, but it's kind of along the lines. I am only speculating that I would believe that they are a family friendly type of game, and that's the view that they're going from. And as such, there are requirements that are kind of almost bolted on to that scope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was looking through all their games list while you guys were talking, and yeah, they started with Lego Star Wars 1 back in 2005 on PS2 and GameCube. I had that game, and they haven't made anything but a Lego game since 2008. And I thought, I always associate TT with like every Lego game. I thought like the driving ones and like everything else. No, it's like they just do those adventure games. The last game they made was Lego Skywalker Saga. They didn't make Lego Horizon. That was actually Guerrilla Games. And so, yeah, I'm excited about this game in general just because I loved Skywalker Saga. I thought it was a real good pinnacle of what a Lego game could be. I also really liked Lego Dimensions at the time. I thought that was just a neat kind of spin on everything. My son was really into that at the time, and they did that too. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to this game, but I think it's a mix of the two between like the optimizations that they just did as part of game development, but they probably also were like, because of Rampocalypse, we should like do a little bit more too. And so I think it's a mix between the two and optimizations.
So I think the Rampocalypse, like I think your optimism, Bill, Russ, is warranted in that, like, if nothing else, I do think that on an ongoing basis, studios are going to respond to the shortage and aim for a lower target. This specific example, I am taking with a little bit of a grain of salt. Like, I'm a little bit cynical about this. Like, the release date is May 29th. You don't cut your RAM requirement in half 3 months ahead of the release date. Like that is, I've never seen that before. Right. So I
forgot it when it was coming out.
Yeah. So like either it was like grossly overestimated to begin with, or maybe it doesn't perform well at 16 gigabytes. I struggle to believe that this game would not perform well at 16 gigabytes, to be honest. So I lean more towards, for some reason, it was grossly overestimated to begin with. But I do think that the reason they're talking about this is because of Rampocalypse, right? Like they might just quietly change the specs on a normal day and you wouldn't hear an announcement about it. But the fact that you see it on the Steam news page for this game is probably driven by just sentiment around this. And I think that's only going to get more and more pronounced. And I do think developers are going to aim for lower specs, at least within this, year or so that we're experiencing this.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if they originally had all of the textures like just built in, right? But then they decided, you know what, we could do a low resolution texture pack. And if we include a low resolution texture pack, then we can reduce the amount of RAM that's needed for this game. Or we could, you can make certain reductions that are optional in order to hit that particular benchmark of 16 gigs of RAM versus 32 gigs of RAM. Does that make sense, or am I way off? Because I'm not a developer. I don't know shit about shit.
Typically, for textures, it would be on VRAM rather than PC RAM. Yeah. So it literally could just be like it's a new benchmark insofar as like what Windows 11 anticipates you having as 16 gigs being the absolute bare minimum, and what they would like to see is 32 gigs. It could be a mix of a whole bunch of different things. Really hard to say one way or the other. To be honest.
Fair enough. All right. We're going to move on from that. Let us know what you guys think. And if you're going to be picking up that Batman, The Legacy of the Dark Knight, let us know why. I personally am picking up because it looks like an Arkham game and it looks really fun. And I also like the whimsical nature of the Lego games. I feel like the Lego games, when they first came out, you were like, this is really cool. But then after the 15th one that you played, you're like, okay, I don't need any more of this. But then with the Skywalker saga, they changed it up and it got a lot better. And I'm looking forward to this because of the Skywalker saga, because Russ is right. The Skywalker saga is really good. It's really, really fantastic.
So I was just reading the Matt Berry. I don't know if you guys know that actor, but he was like in What We Do in the Shadows and IT Crowd. He's voicing Bane in this game. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Rich, do you know who Matt Berry is?
No. Doesn't sound familiar.
He's got really as soon as you hear his voice.
Yeah, really good voice.
Father! Like that. Like he's amazing. I love Matt awesome. Berry. He also has a really good show. Something London Salt or oh god, I can't remember it now. Anyway, I'll try and leave a link down below to like a trailer for it. He is a hilarious on-screen presence. Everything that he's in, you should watch because he's great. All right, we're going to move on from that to our next topic. And we got a lot more topics in the show notes, but we do not have time for all of these topics. So I am going to call an audible and say that Rich, pick one of these topics and we'll talk about it. And then after that, we'll talk about the games we played.
Oh, okay. If I'm actually picking the Highguard topic.
Okay.
So it was discovered, it was reported that Tencent secretly funded Highguard. And in a way that just makes so much sense to me. But like, Bill, you also had some kind of questions here. I don't know. Was there more you wanted to set up to this?
No, you can set it up any way you want. And then I can throw questions in any time.
Okay.
Or you can ask questions.
One of the things that I posted in the group chat was like, there was this tweet from a person named One Peg, and it says, so it's a little sus that Jeff Keighley's Game Awards show has the president of Tencent on the board of said show, showed Highguard last, and it comes out that Highguard was funded by Tencent all along. And to be honest, this poster was getting like railed in the comments, but and to be fair, like this is a very like conspiratorial take, but I follow this, not necessarily that like it's clear that favors were exchanged, but I think, first of all, I think that this is a conflict of interest, just broadly speaking, to have like publishers of large games on the board of a game award show, right? Like I think there's a conflict of interest there.
Huge.
But yeah. So I think whether or not a favor was exchanged, that's a problem to me personally. And then what I posed in the chat with you guys is that like broadly, when I reflect on Keighley, I see an order of priorities, right? Like the first priority he has is around money and power. And to be fair to him, he's using that money and power to put on an awesome show, right? Like he wants an awesome show, but he's using the money and power to make an awesome show. So like the first things first, I need money and power so that I can put on an awesome show. So that's the first priority. The second priority is then you celebrate video games as a medium. And so when I put that as an order, what I mean is I will celebrate video games as a medium, but I will not do it necessarily if it costs me money and power. So that's the second priority. The third is then you advocate for developers, and then finally, if anything is left over, you advocate for consumers. So, like for example, he'll advocate for developers like Kojima, but he at the time he had no relationship with Konami, right? So it doesn't damage his relationship with the Konami. But when it came to layoffs about 2-3 years ago, we were all very vocal that he said nothing about layoffs. And really, since then, he still hasn't. Like, he's alluded to them and said how hard it is on people, but he's never, said companies should do better, for example. So that's how I see his things. Do you guys see this as a conspiracy or conspiracy theory? Russ, what do you think?
I do see it being kind of like, hey, Jeff, can you do me a solid? And, it's not a game that I think generated enough enthusiasm to warrant that coveted space in the Game Awards itself, And so I do think that there's probably something else going on. Whether or not money exchanged hands at this point, I don't know. I just feel like Jeff Keighley is super rich and it just, whatever. Like, if he's getting money for all this stuff, it doesn't.
Right.
I'm not staying up late at night thinking about how much money Jeff Keighley is making on this kind of stuff. I just want him to deliver a Game Awards, And
right.
so, I don't think about how the Oscars people are making money. I don't think about that stuff. So, I think that there is probably something to it. I mean, just the connections kind of seem to be there, especially with the way that Highguard just kind of came out like that. It just kind of seemed like it was pushed, and it makes sense to me.
What about you, Kerry?
Yeah, I mean, where I'm in agreement, how could you not? Look, I'm the guy that will start putting pins on a wall and just be like, look at all the things connecting dots over here. I'm the guy that does that. So yeah, 100%. Is there cronyism? Yeah.
That's the word. That's a good word. Cronyism. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so. I am in total agreement with you that Jeff Keighley 100% does not want to rock the boat. He wishes to maintain his position. I think he's well off, but I also think that he would be fine, right? He would be fine if anything happened. But he doesn't want anything to happen. He wants to continue doing these things. I think that the initial goal was, I truly feel in my heart of hearts that Jeff Keighley, when he was setting out to do this, he looked at the other Game Award shows and just was the toilet humor and all of the weirdo stuff that just
Spike
this is
TV.
Yeah, there's it's better than this. We're not this. And I truly, truly believe that Jeff Keighley had a vision that we all had, and he wanted that to be the case. And he has been trying to do it. And he has successfully brought this along. And now he's in a place where how does he keep the ship together? And he doesn't want any bit of that to start creaking or groaning. And he will just try to maintain that up until maybe he does change his position when he is firm that his place is almost immovable, or if they were to do anything, it would he would look fine for him. He's already fine. He did what he had to do. He set out what he had to do. He is satisfied with what he has accomplished, and it is what it is at that point. Sometimes, people are okay with it, and I get the sense from that because it was just I didn't hear anything about it at all.
Right.
And it was everything about it. I was like, what is going on? This is such a weirdly non-organic viral moment that is happening. And it just fell straight on its face. And when you look back and you're like, oh, well, that's why. So I think it looks bad. I don't think it's going to really damage anything at the current moment, but I think that he should be very careful. And if he gets anything from board members saying, hey, we have this thing, you should do this thing, you'd be like, remember that last time that I did you all a solid? You're going to have to, sit this one out or whatever. Yeah. Maybe he has, a card that he can now play all the time. I have no idea, but I feel like to wrap that all up, I feel like Jeff Keighley does. He did have his heart in the right place, and I think he does, and he's just trying to navigate that, however difficult it can be within the interpolitics of whatever that stuff is. And, not for nothing, right? They are sponsoring this thing to happen. They are sponsoring to make it what his vision he wants his vision to be. So it's like kind of part and parcel of it. So I don't think it's easy. And it is what it is, but I think for sure that there are clear signs.
Yeah. I think if you you look at, I didn't watch this year's awards, but we all live streamed it one year. I remember that. And, my big takeaway with that was like, half of this is just advertising. Like, he's not actually excited about this game. He's just going to show it. And I feel like Highguard's one of those. And that's probably the first time that it's felt like that spot has been specifically an advertised game. Other reveals have been like Hades 2. They revealed that one time. And it's like something that is just organically exciting. And I didn't really see it this year.
Yeah. And some important context that you may have missed, Russ, too, is that like, everyone thought it was clearly an advertised spot, and then Jeff Keighley came out and said, actually, no one, they paid money. If I recall correctly, they paid money to be on the show, just like everyone else paid money to be on the show, but I picked the placement. So like Jeff said, I wanted it to go last. And so like everybody was like, really? And then finally this comes out. And so that kind of adds to some of the drama here. Yeah. Bill, I want to hear what you think. And then afterwards, you played Highguard, so I also want to hear your answer to your own question. Is it fair to call it a failure already?
Okay. So first off, I agree. This never happens. I agree with Carrie 1,000%.
Let's go.
I think that Jeff Keighley got in. That's right. He got into it with the best intentions. He really did. Like, he looked at the Spike TV nonsense where they got people. They would get like some celebrity dipshit to run and jump off a trampoline to stick on a wall. It's like, or it was bad. It was really bad, and it made anybody who played video games look like an immature little shit stained. Like, it looked bad for us, and I hated it. Every time I watched it, it was bad, and I always thought, why can't they do something cool like the Oscars or something? And Jeff Keighley made the Oscars for gaming. And so for that, I'm grateful to him, because it does celebrate the achievements that video game makers make. And so I think that that's awesome. But then he keeps trying to one-up himself every year with like the production quality, and that is expensive. And you got to have sponsors that are paying you a lot of money in order to do that. And it makes it really hard to make those decisions when money is involved. And I'm not saying that he is on the take in order to get Highguard in that place, because I don't think he is. But if it looks bad, and like there's this whole thing about like judges are supposed to like recuse themselves if it could possibly be viewed as that's not right.
Exactly.
And so, like, I kind of wish that he says, I made the decision. He shouldn't be making that decision. One person should not make that decision. That should be like a board of people who are making that decision, because it's yes, it is his show, but it's grown beyond him, I think. And that's how I feel about that. And then the second part of the question, is it too soon to call Highguard a failure? I find this a really hard question to answer, because if you go back to, and I'm going to get the year wrong, but 2013, Hello Games put out, and now I've forgotten the name of the game.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. No Man's Ski, as the kids call it these days. They put out No Man's Sky, and that game was just a dumpster fire at first. And they righted the ship. They said, you know what? It sucks. We're sorry. We're going to fix it. And then they put their nose to the grindstone and they fixed it. And they turned it into what, I haven't played it, but a lot of people freaking love that game. They made a really good game. They took their beating and they said, you know what? I'm going to do the work and fix it. And they did it. So maybe Highguard can do that. But I think Highguard suffers from being shown at the Game Awards, like as that one more thing. He goes, by the way, from the creators of Titanfall and some other game that I can't remember.
Legends.
Apex, yes, from Titanfall and Apex Legends, and people are like, oh my God, we're going to get a new Titanfall game. We've been waiting for this forever. No, We didn't get that. That's what everybody thought. They let their expectation become, or they let their, how do I want to phrase it? They let their anticipation become expectation, and then they didn't get what they expected, and they said, well, this is junk. I played the game. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was bad. I felt like the maps were too big. They should have had more characters on the maps, and it was just a whole lot of, yeah, that's another one of these. And that's not like, if this game launched in early access without all of the bells and whistles around the Game Awards, I think it would have done okay. You know what I mean?
So I will just one counterpoint to the No Man's Sky thing is the thing with No Man's Sky is that it had this amazing ambition to it. And they didn't deliver on that, right? And so it's like they promised a lot and they didn't come out, and then they got there eventually. And I think that's a big success story, and it's really cool. This is not that game. This is like, we're going to make a game like the game you're already playing, you know, and that's not a good like motivation right there. And so I think that's probably the difference between the two, is that I don't really need Highguard to refine the type of game that it is. I wanted something new, something that is revolutionary, something like No Man's Sky, which was like a ton of ambition.
But Russ, this is a rating shooter, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, but anything can be revolutionized, you know. So
right. I think failure. I think you're right. It's a hard question to answer. Although I do think they have a lot more of an uphill climb than either No Man's Sky or Cyberpunk 2077 for a lot of reasons. But I think failure or not, I gotta say, Highguard was given a fair shot. Despite, yes, there was a lot of divisiveness even before it was released, but they had 100K something or 90K something concurrent players. Yeah, concurrent players, and this is a random live service game. No live service game is going to get that sort of play that quickly without, you know, like that just doesn't happen, right? And so like, it happened because people wanted to find out. Maybe they wanted to trash it. But like, if I make a good game and you get on the servers trying to, you know, trash it, but because I made a good game, I turn your opinion around, you're going to keep playing it, right? But the game just wasn't fun. And
no, it wasn't.
Right. And so it's possible maybe with a few more hours it's fun, although not from what I've heard. But either way, you contrast that to something like Marvel Rivals. Even when you're losing, that game was fun. Like, even just to see what Venom does versus what Spider-Man does, what, you know, that Iron Man does, how those people play, it's just fun, right? Like, that's a spectacle. To the credit of the devs of Highguard, they did adjust quickly by adding 5v5, but then they also laid off a bunch of people afterwards. So it says to me that they were not prepared to service a game like this in the long haul. So, you know, even if they have that road ahead of them, again, it's made harder by the fact that they laid off however much of their staff they laid off. So it seems unlikely.
So I'm going to say a few things. Number one, there was like the best thing, like there was an actual fantastic thing for No Man's Sky when it came out. And that was that, that trailer where it was the Jurassic Park music with all of, like the trailer shots, and then it went to the in game, and then it was the kazoo version of Jurassic Park. This is the funniest thing. It was so good. So that was great. You know what the Highguard reminds me of a lot, because I kind of just like looked at it and didn't, but then when I saw some video playback, I don't know if you guys ever played it. It kind of came and went. It was the Shadowrun, the 360 era.
Of course.
Yeah, so like it's like Cyberpunk, but with like elves and trolls, and like it's like a bunch of weird stuff. Like you have mixed genres, and that's what I kind of feel like with Highguard. It's just like it's kind of like a playground of like ideas where there's nothing concrete there. I haven't played it, but I do love your pull quote, Bill, and they should totally just slap it on there. On like the Steam thing is like, yep, it's one of those games or whatever,
something like that. I want to play a little game real quick. How many people do you think are playing this game right now?
Oh, geez.
Rich, pick somebody to give us a number, and then you can go higher or lower.
Okay. Carrie, you give us a number.
Thank God.
It's free. It's free to play. So I'm going to say on Steam.
On Steam,
On
this
Steam.
moment.
On Steam.
At this moment, I'm going to say it has 1,000 players.
I'm gonna go higher. I was like lower than 5 digits, but I don't think it's quite under 4. I'm gonna say higher than 1,000.
Russ, higher or lower?
This is not a free to play game, right?
This is a free-to-play game.
It is a free play game. Yeah.
Then higher.
Okay. Right now, there are 935 players. See, Carrie
Price
was
is
so
right,
close.
baby. I felt it in my
That was
bones.
insane.
You never shadow run, guys. You never make a
You
shadow
never
run.
go
I
full
don't know.
shadow run.
You never go full shadow run, guys. I don't know. You should have just asked me. I could have told you. You could have saved yourselves a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that was one of
All
my
right.
things too that I posted in chat is like, man, it being made by Tencent makes so much more sense than just like an indie studio that was like, yeah, I'm going to make a live service game and
Right.
it'll be if I make 100,000 concurrent players play the game, that's a failure, right? Like no indie studio is going to choose that.
Yeah. So I just one last thing I want to cap out on. You guys were talking about, so I wasn't paying attention to a lot of like the behind the scenes media stuff with games back in the day, but you guys mentioned the Spike Video Game Awards. And so I was like, what is that? So I'm like looking it up. So the very first one was in 2003. Okay. So we're talking PS2 era, right? And just scrolling through, Game of the Year shocked me of what the choice is. So I want to tell you guys
Ooh.
all the nominations that didn't get it and see if you guys can guess the
Okay.
game that did.
This is fun.
So this is in 2003, December 2003, hosted by Funkmaster Flex and David Spade, which is hilarious. So
There you go. See?
so here are the nominees. These are I'm going to say them all except for the game that actually won: Freedom Fighters, GTA Vice City, Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker, SOCOM 2, SSX 3, Star Wars Galaxies, Star Wars KOTOR, Splinter Cell, and Tony Hawk's Underground. So it was a different game that won.
Dang.
I think you might
And
be
we're
muted,
supposed to
Bill.
guess
I don't
game
remember.
one?
Yeah.
I don't remember 2003 games. I'm just gonna pick something random. It was WarioWare in 2003.
No.
That was a GameCube title.
Yeah. I should have
okay.
actually snuck in the winner, and then you guys would have had to
Yeah.
guess from that.
Yeah.
Sorry, because it's a little bit harder to try to come out the thin air.
Yeah, I can't think of games that came out in 2003.
I'm trying to think, but I mean, Splinter Cells. I was gonna say, I'm thinking of like something on Xbox, but I don't think Xbox would have won.
How could
Play
KOTOR
PS2?
not have won?
Yeah, it's multi-platform. I'll give you that.
2000. I can't. No, I'm drawing a blank here. No, I'm not
Call
gonna
of
be able to
Duty?
get
I don't know.
No, that was Call of Duty was after that. So Madden 2004,
Madden 2004.
Game of the Year.
No.
And then my favorite is also best animation was Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, which is hilarious.
See, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Jeff
Yeah, yeah,
Keighley
That was a
gave
different
us
era.
a real award show.
It was bad, yeah. I
Bad
mean,
times.
I think I remember that one. I remember just like tuning out. Like it's a bad memory. But I think the last one that I remember is Jack Black like in a diaper or something. In one of the game, like one of the Spike TV things.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was just what is going on? Who does this appeal to? You know, it's that thing of like the 90s gaming advertisements thing of like what that the Truman Show thing? What the hell are you talking about? Who are you even talking to? Like,
I need to
Like, it's
rewatch
just
that
a
movie.
weird
It's
thing.
great.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I just thought that was amazing that was the game of the year among all these that just in hindsight were just kind of pinnacle games, you know.
Madden 2004 Game of the Year winner.
I actually had that
No,
one
that's-
and GameCube, and it wasn't a great Madden game, but whatever.
It certainly
Game of the
wasn't
Year,
better
but-
than KOTOR.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? KOTOR is one of the greatest games of all time.
Madden 04 wasn't better than WarioWare, which did come out in 03. So
Oh,
I got
nice
How
guess.
did you pull that out of your butt?
you know what it was? He said GameCube, and that was honestly, I had so much fun with WarioWare on GameCube.
okay.
So that was.
I just can't believe you knew that came out that year. That's awesome.
It was a
freaking
lucky
love
guess. And I
WarioWare
just,
games.
yeah.
I was gonna like say like Brute Force, which I think came out around there for Xbox, and I was like, that game sucked. So I was like thinking of like this really bad game. Yeah, no, that's even worse, truly.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to a game that Rich came up with. This is called Old Man Plus. Rich, tell us about the Old Man Plus game, or Old Game Plus. Sorry, I said it wrong already.
Old Man Plus, Old Man Takes, Old Game Plus, all of it. I like Old Game Plus. That's very clever. So that good call on that. Yeah. So this is like your old man yells at cloud kind of take. And then I'm going to give you my take because there's a second layer to this take, which is like, it's not just old man yells at cloud. It's also, maybe there is an answer to this and I just can't be arsed to like Google what the answer is. I did Google it for this segment and there's no answer, but my old man take is like, why are 1-ups in Mario Maker levels? Like, why do they exist? I've been watching some like Mario Maker shorts recently and there's always like 1-ups and I'm like, why does that exist? Why do creators put them in there? And I've never actually Googled it. I Googled it for the show. It's just, it's a reward for people. But like, if you don't know, you don't have lives in Mario Maker. So you don't need 1-ups. So that's
Right.
that's my old man take. But Russ and Carrie, you both kind of out old man me on that specific take.
Yeah. I mean, mine is just my standard. Like, I am not going to work for a video game. Like, that's not my job. The game is supposed to entertain me. So I'm not going to make a level in Mario Maker. Like, why would I do that? Like, that's work. And so that's my take on it, basically. It's like, and it's the same I've said so long, Fallout 4 and everything else. Like, don't make me work in a game. Cult of the Lamb, I just like threw that game away. I was like, come on, you're going to make me farm? Like, I can barely manage.
No Power Wash Simulator for you.
Yeah. Well, that one's soothing and cathartic, right? But I don't have to like work. That's more just kind of, that is the game. That's painting. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind that. So it's very nuanced, I guess.
What was yours, Carrie?
Mine was, it really comes, so I get a lot of different feeds in. And do you guys know what a lolcow is?
No.
I know the name.
You should explain.
Yeah. So LOL cow, it's basically like, there's individuals that are, they people watch them just because they're kind of like laughing at them and not laughing with them. And that's kind of like the attitude that they have. And I feel like Bethesda games, one way or the other, have this forced lolcow to them of like, oh, these games are so outdated. Like, Starfield, doesn't matter what it is, whatever they make this is bad, and it's only been getting worse. And it seems like they always have this like thing, like nothing could be better than Morrowind, nothing could be better than Oblivion, nothing could be better than Skyrim. There's always this like period of time where people that play the game like it, and then they finally speak up. It's like, actually, no, that was really good. And then the new thing comes out and goes, well, that wasn't as good as what I had back in my day. And I feel like there is this constant talk of like the creation engine that they use in all of their games. And Starfield really pushed it way past the limit of what was acceptable with all the loading times and stuff. But my old man yelling there is that Bethesda games are part and parcel with Creation Engine, and you can't have a Bethesda RPG without Creation Engine. So there's like people that are saying, oh, that game is outdated or whatever. And I feel like people play the game because it has their bugs and all, warts and all. And it's one of those things that I just think that you would not have a Bethesda game without it.
I am so with you on this take. I don't even like particularly, I'm not particularly into Bethesda games. I really liked 20 hours of Oblivion I played, and then I never played another Bethesda game for whatever reason. But I do think that now we've gotten to this point where like the engine is one product and the game is another. But really the engine does inform the game. It's not like where a lot of people think about it, where it's like, oh, UE3 means like you get these textures that pop in, right? Like that is a thing, right? But that's not really what I'm referring to. It's just like that, like this is almost like a living thing, right? And the engine informs how a game plays, and what your constraints are. And a lot of times games are about constraints. What gives you a constraint and what gives you a freedom. And the engine informs a lot of that. And so, yeah, I think engines are a critical part of the makeup of a game.
All right.
Yeah, same like for like Halo, right? Like Halo needs to be on the Blam engine or whatever.
It's on Unreal now.
On Unreal. Yeah, well, Unreal is just a wrapper where they have Blam running in the background.
Similar to
Oblivion, what they did. So it's
right.
Oblivion was running in the background, and they have the Unreal Engine sitting in front of it with the render. So it's really fascinating what Unreal is capable of in this aspect, which is great. But I'm a firm believer. When they said they were coming out with Unreal, I was like, that GIF of the guy that's just sitting on a desk, he's just flipping papers of like, whatever he can, just frustrated with that idea. Now that I've seen what it is, I'm fine with it. And I'm okay with it, but yeah, an engine really dictates stuff because you can feel it. Man, oh man, can you feel it?
Oh yeah, I think that if you want Oblivion without that engine, then you can play Avowed because that's kind of what it is. Like for me, I do like that
I
engine.
will not
I like
stand here and take Avowed getting trashed because that game is fun.
I played through the whole game. I enjoyed it. It was the best 6.5 out of 10 game I played last year.
Yes,
It's a shitty story, but the gameplay was great.
Yeah. I found myself really liking Avowed in the beginning, and then like as I was going through it, I was like things were happening, and I was like, I know that I caused that, but I'm not really sure why, and I feel a bit disconnected from everything. By the time I got to like the last level, I was like, I kind of don't care about anything, but it's been cool sliding and shooting things in the face.
Yes.
That was all. The combat was great. The combat was really good. I always knew the combat was going to be good, but I felt like I had higher hopes for the story.
What you really need,
loot, especially.
what Avowed needs is when you kill a guy, he like lays there and then twitches a bunch, like in a weird way, because that's what happens in the Bethesda games. Like I want to see that.
Yeah. That's you get Bethesda quality.
What I want to see is I want to see an Avowed live service game with just that combat, no story, just me and like 3 other players going through a randomly generated dungeon with those powers. Yeah. That would be really fun. And I'm not the live service game guy most of the time. Oh, I guess I am. Anyway.
Bill, you had a good old man take.
Well, yeah. Damn it. I don't want to have to go to a save point to save. I just want to save when I want to save. And I don't want to have to ask permission to save. I'm old. I don't have time for this shit. Let me save whenever I want.
The thing I'll add to that is like I don't super mind if you have like save points specifically, but could you at least give the suspend ability, right? Not just like Steam Deck, I turn my Steam Deck off and then I resume, but like literally I want to close my game, and when you load me back up, just load me back here and then throw the save away. That's fine. I'm not going to make it so that I don't save scum, but still just give me that ability to suspend and and Returnal was,
I disagree. Let me save scum.
That's fair. That's your old man take. You're allowed to have that. Right. Returnal was one of those games that like didn't even have a suspend, and after community pressure, they added it.
See, pressure works sometimes. Well, speaking of community, I asked you guys, what are some of your old man takes for the Old Game Plus segment? And Von Lichtenstein, he must be a knight, said Pokemon should never have made the transition to 3D. Carrie, I'm going to ask you about that one. And here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask each one of you about one of these, and then for the last one, we'll do everybody. So, Carrie, Pokemon 3D, go.
So I'm kind of in agreement. I think that there was some charm that was lost, and I don't know if the charm was lost, but mind you, I haven't really played since Pokemon Yellow or Pokemon Red. So literally for the original Game Boy, I loved it, and there was a really amazing charm to that game, and I think the chibi characters and the way that they were doing it. So if they could somehow make that charm, but I don't think that charm has come across since they've gone to 3D. So I'm going to say I'm in agreement.
All right. Rich, you're up next. And if you guys have burning things that you have to say in response, you can jump in, obviously. Rich, the Grand Rapidian says, I should be able to skip cutscenes or long sequences, such as super long summons in Final Fantasy VII. If I'm summoning Leviathan for the 3rd time this battle, why am I forced to watch this again?
Yes. Let me skip cutscenes. Let me skip long summons. Let me skip dialogue. Let me pause any of those things if I want to, too. If I would prefer not to skip, let me pause them. So I am 100% with that take.
All right. Russ, bring back. This comes from Nick Morgs. Says bring back manuals and game boxes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, so, I have a Switch collection, and every once in a while you get like a manual, you get a map or something like that. And that is really cool. So, yeah, like I agree with that. I think it's maybe not necessary, but it really adds to it. So, yeah.
This one's for me, I guess. ZK6599 says we need more 80s style arcade games, score chasers like Centipede, Robotron, Ms. Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Mr. Do, and Donkey Kong with high scores online. I would say that I agree with that, but then I'm betting that we have plenty of those and just nobody's playing them.
Maybe either way, everyone plays Sectori. That's one of those.
Sectori is a high. That's the perfect example. Sectori, and it's spelled Sektori, right?
Yes. Yeah. You got it.
And it's a twin stick shooter. It's really good, and it's a score chaser that you're looking for. ZK6599. All right, Carrie, pick one, and all of us will say what we think about it, if that's okay. These are all in the show notes.
I'm going to go with High Tech Low Life. And he said, not all games need to be made beatable by all people.
Gosh, can I take that one?
Take it.
My gosh.
This for all of us, right?
Like, that is like the opposite of what I want. Like, just make the game beatable for everyone. Like, who cares? Like, if I'm going to spend money on a game, I better be able to beat it, right? Like, that's kind of my take on it. And sure, I get it. They're difficult games and people want that and stuff. There should be a difficulty slider. I understand the thrill of being like, I only have this option to play it this way and I mastered it. That's awesome. But I don't know. You could have a slider too. I just beat Absalom the other day, which awesome game. And I beat it because I found out it has sliders. And I was like, all right, game on. And I had a wonderful time playing that. And that was amazing. And as soon as I beat it, I'm like, all right, ratchet that back. It's a loop game, right? I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to earn it now, And so, I don't know. I'm the total opposite of that.
I super love hard games. You know what one of my favorite hard games is? It's called Celeste. And it's probably beatable by everyone. Russ, did you beat Celeste?
I didn't, but it's because for that game, and I'm just being like unique in that one, I know there are a bunch of like cheats that you can do, and I just refuse to use them. My other point would be that everybody talks about like the heroic campaign or whatever in Halo and stuff. That's a difficulty slider. I had a great time playing that too on very easy. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, I love Celeste, and theoretically anyone can beat it. And that didn't take away from my experience where, I didn't use any of the assists and I had a wonderful time and a wonderful challenge.
I think I'm going to be super generous because I think you guys there's definite things where this is absolutely correct. But the only thing that I would like to highlight is he said not all games need to be completable by everyone.
Very fair.
And if there's a game, I do like if there's a game that is very popular, probably like Dark Souls or something, and it didn't, it's just like, get good. Not a lot of people finish that, but I feel like there is something there. I am that type of person that will smash my face through something to triumph over it. That's just how there is like a dopamine rush of me like doing it. I really have to find the comic for you guys because it's old as sin, and I thought it was in the TV Tropes thing for Nintendo Hard, and it shows like it's like the old oh my goodness, there's like the Rage comics, the old Rage comics when websites used to have like Web 2.0 and websites had an R at the end of every website. It would just be them, and you like veins coming out all over his head, and it's like the game over screen of a NES thing. He's like, oh, I finally beat it, and he just looks furious. like it's like is he happy or so there's like a part of that I remember very fond memories of. So it's even like things like EverQuest, right? Like EverQuest is a game that is just brutal.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, and it is hard to get into because of that, and you need time. It's a time sink, and it just devours your time if you really want to invest into it. But there are parts because of that the stakes are so high that they become memorable, and you remember like being with your buddies in this one thing that kind of is like mundane, but because the stakes were so high that it mattered.
Like Contra? I
Which Contra?
so I'm being glib because Contra had, a cheat code.
Up, down, down, left,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that Nintendo hard games were tremendously hard, and a lot of like Battletoads, I have never actually beaten. I've gotten to the end of like getting up the rope
Wow.
to the before the final boss, and never got there. So I've never beaten Battletoads, but I have gotten far by just smashing my face through it constantly. I got like the speeder bike part was just rote memorization. I just look like a savant playing this game. Like, how did you know it was coming there? And I was like, you do this a bazillion times, you're bound to remember some things. Oh, it was like Call of Duty 2 with the veteran difficulty.
Oh gosh.
That was a time. Yeah.
Dude, it was so hard that I was laughing to myself because I was literally throwing grenades at nothingness so that by the time I ran up, there would be a guy that would have popped out and exploded. And I'm thinking to myself as like, I'm like the fortune teller soldier, like just running through, like he's going to be there and like kaboom. And I'm just like, I was just laughing to myself of like how silly this entire thing is. I just keep on going to a checkpoint and doing it over again.
Bill, by the way, before we move on, I did have one of these takes I wanted to pull. Do you mind?
Well, just real quick, I'm going to side with Russ on this. So I, you know what? It doesn't cost you anything to put a difficulty slider in, and if you want to have that super difficult experience, it's there. Just crank the difficulty all the way to the top. But give everybody else who doesn't want to do that an easy or a medium or a whatever. Just for crying out loud, name them right. Don't start the slider at medium. That drives me crazy. Like, what are you doing there?
Very
Yeah,
fair.
I agree.
Go ahead.
I mean,
Rich.
I just see it as being basically like that will become the tier, like Elden Ring, right? Yes, I get it. It's a difficult game, and it's like it's a accomplishment when you finish it. But it could be an accomplishment to be like, all right, the standard is that you got to beat it very hard or whatever. You know what I mean? The community will rally around that, and it also gives everyone else the opportunity to enjoy it in their own way too.
I never feel accomplished by finishing a video game. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that was really fun. I can move on now.
Yeah.
And like, I don't look at video games as an accomplishment. It was probably because I don't care about achievements.
So, real quick, and I'll let us finish up. For Halo, I do play on Legendary, and I enjoy playing on Legendary. But I would submit that Bungie, especially at the time when they were at their peak, they designed a game for each difficulty, and I would say that they designed it for Legendary as well, even though it could be hard as nails. But they never made it impossible with what you had. And one thing that always comes to mind to me, I think, was like an absolute failure in game design was The Last of Us. When you put that game on the hardest difficulty setting, they basically strip you of a lot of different ammunition and other stuff. So you have to kind of survive. That's fine. But then there are set pieces in the game where you are against a final boss and you have to kill that final boss, but you can have no ammunition. So there is a spot where you can like literally just keep running around, not die, and things will just like have some ammo. Spoop, here's some ammo. And it's just like, this is terrible game design. And you are fixing this because you realize you've painted yourself into a corner here, and now you're just sprouting ammo out of nothingness just so that I could finish this segment. So I would say that there is a method to the madness. Ultimately, I'm fine either way, but I do. That's
a funny example because Uncharted 4 is probably the game that I used to just go to the hardest difficulty by default for every game. And I think Uncharted 4 was the game that broke that habit where it was just like, this is just not fun.
Oh, dude, Last of Us ticked me off because I did play on hard, and I kid you not, I'm like in some building and I'm like crouching and I hear them all around me. And I'm like, and my foot like hits a bottle and it crashes. It's like, and a guy like runs down 2 floors and shoots me in the face. And I'm like, that's not just what kind of difficulty is this? This is like stupid. Like that's just unfair. Yeah. That's just like beating me when I'm
not
down.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, the take I wanted to pull, we could talk about it or not talk about it. I just wanted to bring it up. Was a Lady Delicious says action games are made worse by the inclusion of RPG progression systems. I have to agree, and I didn't know this was like an old person take, an old man take, but I don't like. I love God of War 2018. I don't need the progression systems in God of War 2018. I really don't. And we were going, like, you had a topic on here about Crimson Desert, and that is actually one of the things that's exciting me about Crimson Desert. I don't know if it's going to stick the landing, but just the fact that it's not like, oh yeah, we have XP, we have progression. Like, it's just you get weapons, you get, you know, powers, but you don't have like an RPG system kind of shoehorned in.
So the original God of Wars, you did just get weapons, and they weren't really like op in one way or whatever. They just like different variances of like just to spruce it up a little bit. But you could get more health and more magic. So the meter
I'm okay
went
with
up,
that.
so you could just kind of okay, all right. So insofar as like RPG elements where like strength your stats increase.
You know what it is for me? I don't want to, like, if I'm in an action game, I don't want to make choices. Meaning, I don't want to put points on something, and I don't want to unlock the skill tree. Just like give me stuff. That's it.
Right. Especially when you're early in a game and you're like, I don't know how this is going to play later, and so I'm afraid to spend my points. Like, if I spend my points now and then I get to the end game and it's like, hey, dumbass, you spent your points all on the wrong tree, and so now you're just going to get beat all the time. That always feels bad. And so when you said that they don't, like, action games shouldn't have RPG elements, I was like, well, that's a terrible take. But they should have RPG elements, but because it makes you feel more powerful. But it shouldn't force you to make choices. Like, you should get better or stronger. Your character should get more powerful as time goes on. But at the same, or at least that should be a possibility. But I'm like you. I do not want to make those choices, especially early on in a game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it. And sometimes, like, I liked like being able to upgrade my weapons, like in like Last of Us, you know, Ghost of Tsushima. I liked the progression of that, you know, like getting a little stronger each time. But you're right. Like God of War, I felt like was a little much. And then, yeah, I don't want to like put in jewels in my like thing and have to decide between those. You know what I mean? That's a little much for me. But I would say too, like when I first read this, I was like, okay, like talking about Absalom, going back to that, like that's a beat 'em up basically that has these RPG elements to it. And I got that at the same time as I got Marvel Cosmic Invasion. And I did not play much of Marvel Cosmic Invasion because I was like, oh, this is just Ninja Turtles with Marvel skins. And I was like, I can run through these levels, yes, and I'll see these different stages and different enemies, or I can play Absalom where it's all like kind of random and fun, and I'm like keep getting stronger and stronger. And so I ended up going with Absalom, and I haven't gone back to Marvel Cosmic Invasion.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a good point. And I same, right? Like I love Absalom, and Marvel is awesome, but I would play Absalom over and over again.
So if we're just talking like, we're obviously not saying action RPGs should not exist. We're just saying that if it's an action game, it should pass the purity test. Yes. and if I'm gonna go back to this. I am okay with that if the action game introduces something that offers anything, like Devil May Cry, a combo system, something that you could like, just like it's a high score or something, or you have something like I was going to say Ninja Gaiden. I say Gaiden because that's how I always say it. You guys know. I'm mispronouncing it.
I always said it that way too when I was growing up.
Anyway, so that game is just hard as nails, but it's just a straight action game. You have like a power up that you can get, but that game is just hard as nails. And I feel like the reason that I kept playing that game was because it was hard as nails and I wanted to beat it. But to Russ's point, like beat 'em ups that are just this pure, like you're going through the motions of them, they worked when you had quarters because the stakes were quarters and you would run out of them. So if you have this finite source of funds that cost you money to play, you are holding on to those dearly. So dying sucks. But when you don't have those stakes, there's nothing, and you're just going through the motions, and you're like, whatever. So that's why I always like, difficult games or whatever. But there has to be something there. So if you don't have that, progression always is a thing that I kind of need to hook my interest. Otherwise, to be honest, I play beat 'em ups with like friends, and I'll just like run through them, and it'll just be like mindless thing that was all like, all right, let's play this. And then you kind of forget about it. We beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I don't really remember much of it.
So basically, I think what you're saying is you require either one of two things: a progression system in the game so that your character gets more powerful, or something that you yourself can get better at over time. Those are the two things.
Or a high score. There's got to be something that, even if it's not a progression system, even if it's like, oh, these guys that I'm fighting here, oh, I only got a B grade. Let me go over and let me keep them up in the air. Let me do so. Oh, I got S. You know what I mean? Like that is like a fun loop that happens 30 seconds at a time as you are progressing through the game, but you care about that current 30 seconds, and you only care about that 30 seconds. You don't care about the entirety of it. So it really just matters like how the elastic velvet rope of however that's working. There's different things in there insofar as like a pure action game. But there has to be some stakes for me to care about it in one way or the other. If there is none, then I would like progression so that there is something that I am going for.
It's kind of like I beat Final Fight on one of my emulator things. You know why? Because I could just put in as many quarters as I wanted. But I just wanted to go through and see it. And those types of games, it doesn't take long to beat them. Like if you have infinite quarters, you can beat it in a half hour or something.
So if we ever do that road trip to the biggest arcade in Chicago, I went with my buddy, and he's like, this place is great because it's free play all the time. And he's like, every time I pass by, he's like, hold on, I need a score to settle with my older self. And it'll just like play through a game. He's like, there we go. That's what my 10-year-old self needed.
If we do, we got to play Turtles.
Nice.
Oh yeah, they have it. They have the 6-player X-Men.
Oh, nice.
They have
with 2 screens. Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
They got all of it. Yeah. And we can just be spamming supers all the time.
That's right.
Nonstop, because it doesn't matter.
That's awesome.
All right. Let's move on and wrap up the show with the games that we've been playing. I don't know about Carrie and Russ, but Rich and I played a bunch of demos this week, but we'll get to those demos in a second. Russ, you been playing anything?
Mostly just that Absalom that I was talking about, so I did sit down and play through it and beat it, and it's fun. Like, and it's not just a one playthrough thing. It's got a loop to it and very Hades-esque, like you can tell that they took a lot of cues from that. Not a bad thing, I would say. And really enjoying it. I did, like I mentioned, I was getting to a point where I was dying pretty quickly, and I was like, all right, let me look what's in the settings. And I found that, and I was like, all right, let's crank it up and then see how far I can get. And then I just beat the game, and I was like, oh crap. And so didn't beat, but I ran through it once. And so I was like, all right, that was too easy. And so then I scaled it back. And so, really enjoying it. And I think they're both around $30 between that and Marvel Cosmic Invasion. And I feel like this one actually, I am getting my money's worth, which is great.
Absalom is great. Which character were you using?
I've just been using the standard, the elf lady, the purple lady, but
okay.
I am unlocking the others. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to get on with these other, like it's something I'll savor, in the same way with Hades. I just use the main weapon. I'm like, all right, now that I'm bored, I'll try something else. That's kind of how I do it.
Cool. Gary, what have you been playing, man?
The one that I played and I stopped myself was Replaced. And that game speaks to me. I think you guys might have played it as well. We could talk about it.
Let's talk about it because it's great.
So I want to talk about it a bit. Mostly I want to, I don't want to stop you guys. There's a demo, so it doesn't matter. But for me, Replaced, there's also The Last Night is another game that has this sort of feel to it. And I want to say that there is a cinematic platformer, which this is not really, but it borrows some ideas there where it is very much a cinematic take in a side scroller, and the blending that they have done of like the low resolution to make the character pixelated, and then the scenes that they have are on that area as well. But then the choice of all of the text work being pixel fonts, because it just, the art direction for this game is fantastic.
Unbelievable.
I absolutely love it. And some of the combat things, like the early combat stuff that I got there, it's an interesting take. It kind of reminds it, again, if we think about like cinematic platformers, there is this weight that has to it. And, you know, you're not kind of just blasting through stuff. There's a build up and a finale type of thing, and you kind of dodge around. So mostly I just care about it for the art direction and the story rather than the action and some of the puzzly solvy things in there. And I'm really interested to see where that goes, but mostly for the story is where my like hope is for this game.
I will
Yeah,
say,
for me,
I just watched.
go ahead, Russ.
I was going to say I just watched the trailer, brand new to it, but the lighting in this is really amazing. Just the way it looks. That's all.
The game is absolutely beautiful. The art direction is top of the charts. Like, this is a game that should be nominated for best art direction at some point. I just love how it looks. That said, the combat feels like Arkham combat to me, where you're surrounded by these enemies, and like some of them are getting ready to hit you, and you got to hit Y at the right moment. You can dodge through them and hit them from behind. It's just really fluid combat. And I also stopped myself from playing too far into the demo as well. I probably played it for, 15, 20 minutes, and I was like, yep, I'm sold. I'm buying this game. It's great. Rich, you played the whole demo though, didn't you?
Yeah, and you were probably just 10 minutes away from finishing it. Not that you like missed anything. You're gonna play the full game, so you'll be fine. But yeah, the art style, like you guys were saying, the lighting, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. If we weren't already 2+ hours into this, Kerry, I would want to dig into the cinematic platformer distinction. Like, I think this is a cinematic platformer, but I'd love to hear more about that another day on like why it might not be. The combat is, like you said, Bill, pretty Arkham-like. It's a little, maybe because of the 2D plane, or maybe just because of how early in the game it is. It feels a little more shallow than Arkham did, but it's still very engaging even with that. So I really enjoyed it. The pacing is nice too. Like there's an interesting narrative that's happening, like a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk kind of deal. So I'm digging it. And also the like soundtrack is sounding good too. Like this.
Oh yeah. That blends in so well that it was like so, in sync with what was going on that it became transparent to me of like how good it was. So I guess that goes to say how good the sound design is as well.
Yes, 100%. So I'm really digging the game, and this is also a game that like it, as of right now, it is very approachable, right? Like none of the combat was too hard. None of the puzzle stuff was too hard. The platforming is pretty straightforward. Like this is like Inside, Limbo, like most people should probably try this game and see where it goes.
We can just real quick. I just want to. The only thing that really separates this game from like a true cinematic platformer, like if we're like a purity test of what that is typically like you look at Prince of Persia, Alone Out of This World, Another World, Blackthorn, Abe's Odyssey, all of those things. All of those games are cinematic platformers, and they are technically like on a grid. So you can run or you can, you know what I mean? So you can like, there's the spacing of how you move is defined, and the flow of that is also defined. And I would argue that Replaced so far has more of a flow like Out of This World does, which I am huge on, which is why I like stop myself. I'm like, actually, no more of this demo. I want to experience this actually all the way through. So I actually like just stopped playing the demo myself because I'm all aboard.
This demo is so good, I quit.
Pull quote.
Absolutely. That's going at the start of the show. All right. Rich, you and I both played a game called Starship Troopers, and I don't remember the rest of the name of it because there was a lot of them.
Bug War.
Ultimate Bug War. Set this up for everybody.
Yeah, so Starship Troopers Ultimate Bug War is a Starship Troopers game, and not just a Starship Troopers game, it is a Starship Troopers ass game, right? Like it like really leans into the whole thing. It has like a cutscene with like an actor and like all of the like humor that you expect from it. But the gameplay is more boomer shooter. So this is by the devs of Warhammer 40K Bolt Gun, which came out 1 or 2 years ago and kind of made a splash for like, you know, a new studio.
It's a good game.
Yeah, it's a good game. And so this is one of those games that like I think is going to be a little bit divisive. I really enjoyed it, but I think that like there are some quirks about it. Like the levels are really large. You're going to be running around a bunch, but the levels also have these objectives, right? And so that kind of reminded me of like old school shooters, like more GoldenEye, let's say, where it's like, oh, you got to go here and do this, and then you got to go here and do that. And I really enjoyed that. It's also just like dumb fun shooting big insects. There's probably not enough insects and they're probably not big enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran into that where it was like there's a lot of just empty space.
A lot.
Nothing.
And it doesn't run to that point. It doesn't run like great. Like it's a little rough in spots. And so I wonder if like, you know, they too would have liked to have more bugs, but they probably just couldn't get them running well. But nonetheless, I thought it was like just dumb fun. Kind of reminds me of like the N64 era. Almost reminds me of Blast Corps. I don't know why exactly. Maybe just again,
Blast Corps, that's a weird pull.
I think it's just like, here's an objective, do dumb stuff. I think that's really all it is.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I felt like the gunplay was great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed shooting the bugs. There's at one point I got into a mech and was just having a blast, taking out bug after bug after bug, you know, getting onto a turret and cleaning out the bugs coming up on the beach. But then like the part where you have to like find they're spawning out of hives and you have to throw a grenade into the hive. Like all of that sounded great, but at some point, I had nothing to do. It was just a big empty, like I had killed all the bugs, except for like one that I couldn't kill with traditional weaponry, and I could not find the item that I needed to, like, you know, where you can throw a thing and it calls down a missile from above.
Oh, yeah.
I took out one bug with that, but then the other bug was the only bug left, and I could not find the other item. And so I'm wandering around for 10 minutes looking for it. And finally I was like, this is stupid. And I shut it off.
I don't remember struggling to find anything at first, like the entire, like, I'm going to say interface, but I don't just mean like the HUD, but like, there's just like, some of it is a little bit confusing. Like the fact that like you get these airdrops, right? And you have to like press a button to throw a little thing. And that's where the airdrops fall. And that's typically how you get your ammo and your health. At first, I'm just like looking around, like, where do I get some health? And so like, that was confusing at first, but once I got my bearings, like, I don't remember like any moment where like I have to find an item and I couldn't find it. There are like, and I'm sure you saw, but it just, for whatever reason, maybe didn't highlight the item you were thinking about. But there are like these pointers to like, okay, your next mission is over here. And then like not the grenades, but like the things you attach to the bugs, they're over here. And then here are the bugs that you need to attach them to. But I just
so I had cleaned all of those off. My horizon was empty. There were no more little things telling me to go here.
Yeah.
And I just I was like, what else do I do now? I couldn't figure it out.
They had a bug.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Oh, a bug. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
But you know what? The gunplay was really good. So there's definitely a positive there.
Yeah.
All right. You also played Eternal Life of Goldman, which I want to hear about this. What is this game?
It's weird, man. It is trippy. So first of all, the art style, again, amazing art style. Kind of reminds you most likely of Cuphead. Like it has that, I don't know if it's actually rotoscope, but it looks rotoscope. It does say, yeah, depicted in classic frame by frame animation on the store page. But yeah, it looks like it's rotoscoped, and there are a lot of like layers of things happening. Like it's not just what's happening kind of as your character, but also the background is really rich with a lot of things going on. Maybe sometimes
and the foreground.
And the foreground. And yes, and the foreground. That's true. And maybe sometimes this is like a little too rich. Like if you're looking for just like pure platforming, it can get maybe a little bit confusing. But I really like the art style. What I will say is there was a lot of dialogue, and I wanted to skip most of it. Not just that, but the gameplay itself, like it was novel as far as like platforming goes. Like I haven't experienced a lot of platforming that takes kind of the angles that they took. Mind you, this is a game that has the DuckTales, cane jump.
Bounce.
Like, yeah, cane bounce. Yeah. So it follows that. And the cane is like customizable. So you get parts of canes, like you'll get a hook that can allow you to hook onto things, or you'll get a different base that allows you to bounce higher. I presume that that's a big part of the game. But the actual like platforming challenges that they had me do were mostly like hold down to make this thing go down so that then you can go to the next platform, and you have to jump to make the platform go up. You jump, but also the platform goes up as you jump. So you're just kind of like going from platform to platform, lowering it, raising it, trying to avoid obstacles. And it was a little bit just kind of slow as far as like platforming goes. But this is, I only played about 20, 30 minutes, and this is like a very generous 90-minute demo. So I'm going to finish the whole thing and see if it gets better later on. Because again, just the art style is enough for me to be like, I think I want to buy this game.
Yeah, it's a game I want to watch. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I played 2 more demos. I'm going to go through one of them very fast, and I'll take a little bit more time for the other one. Nutmeg is a what do you call the games where you don't play soccer but you manage football manager
simulator?
Yeah, so it's a football manager game where you are in charge of a soccer team, and you play with cards. So basically you got to hire the right scout to go get players for your team. You got to pick what merch your team is going to sell at certain times. But then when you get to the actual point where you're playing a soccer match, you go through and you'll have like 6 or 7, 4 matches this week or something. And you could say, well, I'm going to just delegate and have my assistant coaches do those ones. And each week you do one match where you're in control, and it brings out like this board, and cards come down, and the cards work like, okay, so this player has the ball, and you have the ability to boost the percentage of what card will come up next. Like, okay, they're going to pass next, or this is going to happen. And then the next card comes out and it determines what happens. And you are basically playing through each possession of a football match. And I found it to be overwhelming as somebody who doesn't really follow soccer very closely. Like the most that I do is I watch Ted Lasso, so that's as much as whatever the Ryan McElhenney thing is, where him and Ryan Reynolds bought a soccer team, that show too. That's my experience with soccer. But I did find it to be fun. And if I understood the game more, I would have enjoyed the demo more. My frustration was that there was too much asked of me too soon. And I feel like that's a problem. But if you're somebody who understands soccer and you like card games, I think you're going to like this game. I really do. It's really fun, or it's interesting.
Here's a random aside. This is developed by Sumo Digital. So they made Sackboy, Sonic Racing, Snake Pass. So it's that studio.
Weird.
I know, right?
That's a weird, that's an eclectic set of games to have been made. But that's nutmeg.
Absolutely.
But it's definitely worth checking out the demo. I put more time into that demo than any of the other demos that I played, except for Titanium Court, which this is a game people are going to be talking about. This game is freaking weird. First off, it has an art style of an old EGA, CGA, not even EGA, CGA system way back in the day. It was like 4 colors. You are, first off, it feels like when you first start the demo, you're in a bar talking to this guy and he's like flirting with you or whatever, right? And then he's asking you like, how'd you get here or something? And as you're explaining it, he's like, this doesn't make any, your story doesn't make any sense. And then next thing you know, you're in a match 3 game where you have to like move things around on the board and you're not really sure what you're supposed to be doing. So you're matching these things and they're explaining, oh, you want to match these things because that's food. And you want to match these things because that's this. And you want to match these things to get rid of that. And so you're going through this. And then suddenly, I'm not going to be specific because there's definitely, it feels like it's telling a story and I don't want to spoil things. But something happens and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't see that coming. And now you're like in charge of this kingdom who is trying to move their kingdom from one location to another. And in order to do so, you have to overcome these battles that happen on this match 3 board. I feel like this is an indescribable game without ruining it, but it's a free demo and everybody needs to try it. It's so good.
Well, you know, what's interesting too is, Carrie and Russ aren't going to get a chance to do it here because, you'll be listening to us talk, but like if you watch the trailer with audio on, I think I haven't played the game, but I've listened to this trailer and it sounds ridiculous. So like, I think that's going to be enough for you to be like, oh, this is weird. Maybe I should try that.
And speaking of the audio, like I was sitting there playing and my wife is in the other room and she goes, what is that music? And she came in and I go, oh, it's this game that I'm playing. And she sat down and I went through and like she was watching me play. She does not play video games. And she was like, this looks amazing. I love this game. And then she left the room after a while and she goes, what's that creepy music that I'm hearing? And I'm like, it's the same game. So like the game has like this very interesting music that happens during most of the time it's silent. But very interesting music that happens during combat. But then during another part, it has this almost unsettling tone to it. It's a very interesting game.
Yeah, I like the match 3 element of it. It's kind of like I like when it's a little bit deeper than just Bejeweled, and so I like this idea of turning a narrative on its head or a gameplay loop on its head. So yeah, I'm kind of interested in this one.
Well, the thing about the match 3 is when you match 3, you're setting up your battlefield. And then after the match 3, you have a battle to do. And the battlefield is what the layout is at the end of the match 3 part. So then you have to like hire soldiers and farmers and lumberjacks to go out and do stuff until the tide comes back in. And then everything breaks apart and you can move everything around again.
This game sounds ridiculous.
It really is. All right. Well, this is a 2.5 hour episode. It might be the longest episode ever. I'm sorry, guys. It got away from us, but you guys could have been anywhere for the last 2.5 hours. You spent it here with us very quickly. Carrie, tell everybody what you're working on.
What I've been working on all the time, I've just been dragging my feet on it. So I have the Pocket Air Max that I have to finish up on. I have it all done. I just have to edit it. And I still have to finish up my Steam Deck Won't Be Armed video.
All right. And, did you start your last episode?
I did. So yeah, I did actually start. I do have, my Steam machine does have Mesa 2.6, but it is the crashiest thing ever. So I've been trying to work out on that, and I've been doing a bunch, but I only have like 2 or 3 hours a day, and I have been working on it all week. So that's why I'm kind of delayed all over the place.
Gotcha.
So that's where I am right now, and it's kind of just, I did manage to play Cyberpunk. I should have a capture on there. I should just try to get it. But Yes, but no.
We look forward to that video coming out. Russ, what have you been working on, man?
So I'm working on like a controller roundup kind of thing. Basically, the idea is that I can't really recommend anybody buy a handheld PC right now. If you saw the Legion Go 2 went up to $1,850 in price on B&H.
Oh,
Yeah. And
I did not see that.
Yeah, $1,850. So I can't really recommend a handheld PC right now because it's just like, I don't want anyone to buy it at that price. And then also even the Android handhelds that I love so much, they're all delayed several months. So if you buy one, you're going to be waiting months. And so I wanted to do a video just being like, just use your phone, like just for now, use your phone. And let me show you how you can do it the best way possible.
I love that. Great
Awesome.
call.
Rich?
I'm just spending time giving you all a hard time in Discord. That's what I'm doing.
And we appreciate that. That's fun for us.
I'm just shit
what I look
posting
forward
you
to.
guys.
All right. Well, you can find none of his shit posting over at youtube.com/fanthedeck. You can find all of Carrie's benchmarks over at youtube.com/thefox. And you can find Russ's controller recommendations over at youtube.com/retrogamecore. And if it's your first time here, I'm Bill. This is the Nerd Nest. Thank you for hanging out with us. And hopefully we'll see you next time. Stay rad, everybody.